Sinner going up against the defending champ Carlos Alcaraz. Neither have ever lost in a final of a Grand Slam. Sinner won the first 2 sets, being primed to win his 3rd Grand Slam title, but Alcaraz battled back, took the 3rd 6-4, and they are on serve through 5 games of the 4th. Mets, they have the most wins in the National League. Rockies, by far the worst team in baseball. They'll wrap up their series at Coors Field this afternoon. First pitch on Odyssey Mets Radio at 3:10. Yankees and Red Sox tonight at the stadium. We'll have to wait to see if Anthony Volpe makes his return to the lineup. Carlos Rodon has been locked in, goes after his Major League leading 9th win as he gets the start tonight. Coverage here on the Fan at 6:30. NBA Finals resume with Game 2 in Oklahoma City, virtually a must-win for the Thunder as they try to even up their series against the Pacers at a game apiece. It's 75 and cloudy in Central Park, and that's what's happening. I'm Gordon Dana. Keith, have a good show, man.
I'll see you in an hour.
No, I'm done.
Okay, have a good Sunday. Let's get it. Yeah, let's do it, New York City. Another edition of Sunday Sauce, not KM to AM. It's 1:01 p.m. You got me till 5 p.m. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk sports. 888-808-1019. Hit the line one time. There's so much to talk about. The NCAA is going to pay their athletes. And they're going to go back to 2016. Mauricio, and the Make It Happen Mets. You see it. Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees. Listen, some of this Boone stuff you got to live with. Some of you guys make too much of it. We'll probably make too much of it today, leading up to the rubber match, which I saw last night. They were setting that up, but all week I told you, and last Sunday when I did my show, if you're tired of talking about the New York Knicks, we've only just begun. They're good now, or they were good now. I don't know if they'll be good again, maybe for a year or so, but what I'm saying is now that the Knicks have national attention, they're a national story. Now that the Knicks got to the Eastern Conference Finals, you felt like they should have won the Eastern Conference Finals because they had home court and they were favored and yada, yada, yada. Wait, they fired their coach? Yes, because they fired their coach who brought them back to prominence, who was the architect of a lot of this. Yeah, they chopped that guy down. And, you know, when I was on Sunday, we didn't know that. I think the first show I might have spoke on it might have been Tuesday or Wednesday. But it was peculiar to me. It was odd to me because I was on saying, listen, Jalen Brunson loves this guy. Jalen Brunson, after the game, was offended by the question about Tom Thibodeau's status. His dad is on his staff. I literally said to you, he's safe with Rick and Jalen Brunson. What do I know? Nobody's safe. And I think that's the climate of the NBA. And I think that the Knicks felt that way when you see a Mike Malone who's won a championship in recent time, just a couple years back, get fired. Even Taylor Jenkins, who's had some success, get fired. And, I mean, heads have to roll. But for this New York Knicks group, it seemed like, right, Leon Rose pushed all the right buttons. There were never any leaks. It just felt like this group of New York Knicks did everything right. You know, they kind of shed the skin of the old New York Knicks. Well, Colin Cowherd had a take about why these Knicks were what they were and why this seems kind of awkward this whole week of like, what's the plan? What's next? What are we doing here? How do you fire the coach? And then especially with the Pacers winning game 1 in similar fashion to how they beat the Knicks in game 1. And then all of the numbers coming out about how they've had less than a 5% chance to come back and win it. And they did it in every round to the Bucks, to the Cavs, to the Knicks, and now the Oklahoma City Thunder. The last show I did Thursday night, I was saying, how are you going to feel if the Pacers find a way to win the finals? How are you going to feel if the Pacers do this to OKC, the 1 seed? You're going to feel like you prematurely moved on from your coach? Are you going to feel like your coach was the fall guy, was the scapegoat against a team of destiny? Well, I think people are starting to really think about it, talk about it. Everybody in sports has weighed in on Tom Thibodeau. Usually the Knicks are the laughingstock of all sports, but now they've got everybody's attention. Let's hear Nick Wright talk about Colin Cowherd's take and break it down for you, and then I'll jump back in right after that. Go ahead.
The best Jim Dolan take. Cowherd said, do you know why the Knicks all of a sudden got good? Good management, good coaching. They were a functional adult franchise. And he said it was because Jim Dolan was building the Sphere in Las Vegas and was distracted. And I'm like, oh, that's exactly right. Like Jim Dolan's favorite toy, ever since he inherited Cablevision and MSG from his dad, has been the Knicks. But then his company was building the Sphere in Vegas, and that was his new toy. And so he had to leave the Knicks alone. Like, all right, Leon Rose and Worldwide West, you guys handle it.
Makes perfect sense.
It's exactly what happened. Here's my contribution to that take. The Sphere is built and it's up and running. But then all of a sudden, the Knicks are fun now. Chalamet's there. They're making runs. Jim Dolan's like, I'm back, baby. All of a sudden, they're making drastic moves again. He's like, what if we fire the coach? What if we try to poach Jason Kidd? And with all that said, I don't necessarily think this is the wrong move.
Only time will tell. 888-808-1019. Only time will tell. So many of these potential head coaches for the Knicks, their names have been withdrawn or they've said, no, I'm not interested. Jay Wright, the latest one. Now we're talking about Jason Kidd and prying him away from the Dallas Mavericks, which is a good situation. He's got his own legacy over there as a player and a coach. And they're going to draft Cooper Flagg. Kyrie will be back at some point. I don't know what AD will be, but I don't know. Maybe Kidd wants to come back to New York. But when you go back to Jim Dolan, I was one of the first people. I said, this is a Dolan thing. And there was a lot of people that came out and said, no, it's not Dolan. I'm like, no, of course it is. Because Leon Rose, right? We hear Leon Rose was Tom Thibodeau's agent. Leon Rose gave him an extension. But who pays the bills? Who's the money man over there? Jim Dolan. So that $30 million that's owed to Tom Thibodeau, whatever. It doesn't mean anything to me. You know what? We made a ton of more money than I actually thought we were going to make this year going to the Eastern Conference Finals Game 6. Jim Dolan was getting ready for the finals. People were putting in their media credentials. They were starting to make plans. They were dreaming of the Garden hosting the NBA Finals. And I think he got that smell in his nose of, wow, we're going back to the championship. And like you just heard Colin Cowherd say, the celebrities, and you saw Jim Dolan getting out of his car to give a young Knicks fan a basketball. You saw him with his dark wing duck cap sitting under the hoop. He's back. He is all the way back. And I think what happened here was he got impatient. I've read this Bobby Marks tweet on air the whole week from the Roommates podcast just 2 months ago. In quotes, there were times when we've sort of reached for that shiny, sparkling object. Maybe this is what we need, especially when things weren't going well, he said. Let's bring in this guy, and maybe he'll turn it all around for us. Sometimes it's players, sometimes it's a coach. What I learned over time is that doesn't work. It really doesn't. You really have to do the fundamentals, the basics. You've got to build a team. You've got to build an organization. There is no waving a wand over a team and all of a sudden make it a great team. It doesn't happen. That is Jim Dolan speaking with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart on their podcast in March. And I think once he saw his team get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, be favored, lose game one the way that they did, I think he started listening to a lot of the opinions the whole way. If you listen to WFAN, fans were trying to fire the coach before we got to the playoffs. Oh, there's no way that they beat the Celtics. They're guaranteed to have another second round exit. He's got to go. Oh, the minutes police. He's going to burn his starters. They're eventually going to be hurt, run down. They're not going to be able to make a run to the championship. It's all going to be Tibbs' fault. Well, he beat the Pistons, and then he shocked the world and beat the Boston Celtics in one of the biggest upsets, not just in New York sports history, but in the NBA and sports. No one picked the Knicks to beat that team, especially the fashion that they went about taking the first two in Boston. And he didn't get any credit for that. And a lot of us did think he was safe for that. But you know what? There's an owner that says, hey, I am impatient now. I am back now. I am ready now. I'm ready to move into the future. Thank you for what you've done, Tom, but we're having these exit meetings, and I've heard enough negative that I'll roll the dice and say somebody else can take this group with two all-star starters in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, offensive players. You're a defensive-minded coach, right? We got to get somebody else in here. We've got OG Anunoby making that much money. We gave up all those picks for Mikal Bridges We've got the pieces like Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart and some bench guys like Deuce McBride. We can figure this out. We'll make the bench better. We'll find a different voice in a different direction, and we'll roll the dice that will be like the Toronto Raptors, who went from Dwayne Casey to Nick Nurse and won it, or the Warriors, who went from Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr and won it. But I just think that's crazy. I just think that's a huge gamble and a huge risk. But he seems to be a gambling man. Here's the quote that everybody read online and reacted to from Legion Hoops. James Dolan reportedly spearheaded the Tom Thibodeau firing. What was clear was Thibodeau's firing being spearheaded by Knicks owner James Dolan. Dolan and team president Leon Rose held exit meetings with key Knicks players, and the complaints were clear. Dolan, whom sources said was never a huge Thibodeau fan through the years, asked the questions in the meeting while Rose took a secondary role. So this week we heard it was Worldwide West. We heard it was Leon Rose. You had to know it came from the top. You had to know that there was a guy sitting in there saying, you know what? I am disappointed. We lost to small market Indiana. They don't even pay any luxury tax. These bums, we can't lose to them. We lost to them back-to-back years. I was planning for a finals. The way you choked away game one, the way you were forced to play your bench in game three, it was too little, too late. I will be a gambling man here and roll the dice that we can get an Ime Udoka, that we could get a Jay Wright, a Dan Hurley. Hell, if it's Johnny Bryant, so be it. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for where you've gotten us, but I'll take it from here. This is my team. I'm James Dolan. 888-808-1019. We'll start there. This Knicks stuff is like so compelling, and it's not just here. It's in all sports, because like this has like Woody Johnson energy on it, you know? This has like, what if you've made a grave mistake? What if this little bit of success, as you said, right? You said in the past, you learned that you have to build an organization. You have to work on the basics, the fundamentals. What if you tweaked in this moment? When the writing is on the wall, I was doing this all week. The Heat lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, went on to the finals. The Celtics lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. The next year, they went on to the finals. The Pacers last year lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. This year, they're in the finals. The writing was on the wall for these Knicks, who just lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, to stay together, right? They went through that pain, that hurt, that defeat, losing like that together. They went through the war together. Now their general is gone. The writing was on the wall for them to take the step forward with the deeper bench next year to potentially knock off the Pacers or whoever stands in their way in the East. You don't have to worry about Jason Tatum and the Celtics. The Cavaliers, maybe. But the writing was on the wall for this Knicks team, as it was presently constituted, to take the step forward. But now you've thrown in a variable that like none of us can actually understand what the plan is and what you're doing, and it makes none of us believe that it's a guarantee that you'll get back there. 888-808-1019. You're going to win games. This Knicks team is too good, right? But that's a ton of pressure to put on, let's say, a Johnny Bryant who has no experience, or someone with experience with a name to come in here, right? Jeff Van Gundy was another hot name. He's friends with Tom Thibodeau. He worked with Tom Thibodeau. I don't think he's coming in to take his boy's job and then erase all of the good memories you have of him with the 90s Knicks. Like, I don't know who's coming in here to coach the Knicks, but they have made this so difficult for the next man that takes the job. The media is impossible to deal with. The fans are crazy. And there's the last part before we do go to break. I've been saying all week, the Knicks are the only fan base, right, that unites the city. I'm not a Knicks fan, but everybody's a Knicks fan, right? There's a lot of bandwagon Knicks fans flooding the streets of 7th Ave, partying it up for a second-round victory. How come the fans can't hold them accountable? They never have to meet the media. David Stearns does a Zoom call, YouTube press conference every 2 weeks. When things get shaky, Brian Cashman has to sit in that dugout and take – like, how come they get to duck the media? How come the one team in the middle of New York does not have to have somebody speak on this? A lot of your fan base disagrees with this. You know why? Because they've jumped the gun. The Knicks team that you're watching, they're good and they're in their championship window. But I think it's crazy that the Knicks you watch growing up, a lot of you, right? Just 10 years ago, they won 17 games. Now, all of a sudden, they're putting out statements saying, our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you're a championship contender only. Now you're You're just singularly focused on winning the NBA Finals. And since you came up short this year, when nobody thought you were going there, you were 0-10 against the elite teams in the NBA. That's why I came on last Sunday. I said it was all a dream. You must be dreaming. All of a sudden, the narrative changed because the Cavs got knocked off. Tatum got hurt. You beat the Celtics. We didn't want to give any credit to the small market Pacers, Rick Carlisle, Tyrese Halliburton, and those guys. We looked at it as, oh, this was a coaching thing. This was mistakes made by Tom Thibodeau. So 888-808-1019, where do we go from here? Who is going to take this job? What about Dolan? Is Leon Rose going to have to speak? You know they're not going to speak. But, you know, we're a couple weeks away from the draft and then free agency. And the biggest thing is, how is this affecting the team? When are we going to get that emergency roommates pod? Like, how is this affecting the players on the team? I know there's some guys that didn't want the coach there, that felt like they couldn't play for him. But now you are pushing all your chips in on the next guy, and the bar is set at finals appearance. The bar is set at you got to go to the finals. And if everybody's not healthy and things don't work out that way, it's just too far-fetched to go out there and say that the Knicks are winning the East next year. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I call this Sunday Sauce. You got me till 5 o'clock. I promise I'm not going to do the Knicks all show. We definitely got to talk about Jazz Chisholm and Jazz Chisholm not being in the lineup. And Ian Hamilton, he didn't even want to show his face on camera. You got this guy pitching like, we'll get to that. We'll get to the Mets. And you can't knock the Mets for beating the Rockies. Sweep them, right? We'll get that game on at 3:10. So in about an hour, we'll kind of start to pregame the last game out there in Denver. And then, of course, me being a former NCAA athlete, I'm seeing this news about the NCAA going back to 2016 to pay out billions of dollars and how they're now structuring what we call the wild, wild west of NIL. It's very interesting and compelling to me, and I'd like to speak on it. Call the show, 888-808-1019. We got to break it down. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'll be right back. And we're off and running. All right. Let's see. My boy Cook Carter was out here early, gang. Jared, Noti Squad. I already know that. How's it going? Good. Not sick, but just got the allergies under me. The weather, it gets hot, the weather changes, and I was out in the park with my son this morning for a little 2-year-old birthday, and I was out in the elements. I feel like a little bit of that, like like you got to clear your throat type, you know. Let's keep the winning the bread games trend going. Winning the bread games? I don't understand. Let's keep the winning the bread game. I don't know what that means. Yeah, last night's game did suck, but they got to do that for ratings, bro. We'll talk about it. They got to do that for TV. More people are going to watch, and more people are going to go to the game if it's a rubber match. Eddie, what up? Yeah, Ian Hamilton pitched the whole game like this. All you could see was the top of his head. The guy did not want to be seen on national television. Facts. I'm saying they're going to feel some type of way if the Pacers go out there and win this series and be like, wow, maybe we should have chilled on that. Boone got to do better. We can't keep making mistakes like this. I thought Boone would learn from his mistakes against the Dodgers. Yeah. Appreciate it, you know. I'm getting the feeling that people around here like it as well. A little Sunday sauce, you heard? A little Sunday sauce. I gotta send Paulie some beats. Sent. Paulie gonna be like, rejoin songs, instrumentals. And Boone audio. Let me give him the Boone audio now. Boone said it was a scheduled rest for Jazz, but like for what, bro? He was out for a whole month. We got a scheduled rest for a 27-year-old freak athlete who plays 4 games, and he played Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we got to sit him down. To me, it's just like they go into some of these regular season games like, oh, these are just regular season games. If we win, we win. Oh, Garrett Crochet's on the mound, tough matchup. Maybe we can't beat that guy. I don't want to see Pablo Reyes in. I don't want to see Pablo Reyes in the lineup. Okay. A little Sunday vibe. Your nighttime host, Keith McPherson, on the Fan, talking sports. Not taking any shots at Dolan. He's the owner of the Knicks. And like I said, the Knicks united this city. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I could appreciate what I saw. Like, I could appreciate the parties. And, really the biggest thing for me was the viral videos of fathers and sons and mothers and daughters and families, generations of families of Knicks fans that hadn't had this for 25 years, the euphoria that they had through this run. And I just feel like right now you kind of pour cold water on all that. So many people nationally have come out to back Tom Thibodeau. So many people nationally have come. Even Rick Carlisle said he thought it was AI, he thought it was fake. He just coached against the guy, back-to-back years, and this year got the best of him. Rick Pitino was on with us, and I kept saying this all week. He said Tibbs was handcuffed by 7.5 players. So now the next coach, not only do you have to find the right guy who's mentally able to deal with what he's walking into, but also like you need a guy with experience because this New York market will eat you up with the fan expectations, the media pressure, just knowing how to deal with the Garden, the security in the Garden, the things that they do differently. Like I don't know who they get. I don't know why Jason Kidd would want this job. Maybe he wants to be here and get out of Texas. But it's going to take a lot to make that happen. And again, I go back to how does this affect the team? I feel like there are players on this team like Tibbs was their guy. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns, who people were saying he got Tibbs fired twice. Maybe that's not his guy. Mikal Bridges, who spoke out about the minutes and saying we got to go to the bench. Maybe not. Even Josh Hart, who said I'll come off the bench. We should be starting Mitchell Robinson, and he did. But like to me, I see all that as hey, this guy adapted. With his back against the wall, he didn't die on his sword. He said, okay, I'll do some things differently. I'll change the starting 5. I'll play DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet. Precious Achiuwa, you get up. You know what I'm saying? Don't go for the flashy things. Don't go for the Giannis. Like the Knicks are preparing to make a tsunami type offer for Giannis. Don't go that way. You have the team. And even a KD who clowned the Knicks for the last 5-6 years. Never wanted to be a Knick. And I know if he gets traded, it is what it is. He's got to do what he's got to do and come play. But, yeah, it's crazy. There's a quote from Knicks videos per Ian Begley that the players were respectful of the veteran coach, who they had a great deal of respect and admiration for. But they also pointed out in those meetings that there were things Thibodeau did that could be improved. Of course, this is an end-of-the-year meeting. You lost. Of course, there's going to be things that he could do. But I just think that ultimately this came from the top. He went over I think Leon Rose would have gave him another year. And wouldn't you want to see that before we get to the phones? And thank you guys for calling 888-808-1019. Wouldn't you want to see part 2? This was the first year with Bridges, the first year with Cat. Wouldn't you want to see their second act, I guess this guy that, basically brought you back to prominence, they didn't feel like, and I get it, because I hear WFAN. I hear the calls. Oh, it was overdue. It was time. He's a dinosaur. He wasn't going to evolve. He's got to get with the times. He's still coaching like it's the 90s. Okay, so hope that you find that next great young coach. Hope that you find the next great innovator, or one of these guys like a Jason Kidd that is, with the modern game and can come right in. It just doesn't work like that. And your fans are going to be so disappointed if you take a step back in the next 2-3 years of this window and the window closes. Jay in Miller Place. What's up, Jay? You're first on the fan.
Thanks for taking the call. Love you at night and during the weekend. So,
Thank you. You got it.
so my two things. My one on Ted is I do really agree with you wholeheartedly on the take on, he should have been fired. I think Leon Rose did stand up. It really bothers me. A guy who gave him a contract extension, that gave him $30 million more, didn't stand up more for the guy, especially being an agent, whatever. Whether the players have the issue or not, to not run it back. My other counter to that is, how are we going to attract some mid-level talent to come off the bench or know what your role is when you still got tips there? So, although I totally agree we shouldn't have let him go, part of me is like, well, if we got to improve the bench, how do we get bench there if we have typical coaching, right? That's my
Thanks, Jay. I'll respond to it. I keep hearing people saying Leon Rose doesn't need this job. Why would he just? It's his job, and it's bigger than money. He might have just a passion with the Knicks now, where he wants to be the guy responsible for bringing them back to the finals and winning it. James Dolan is his boss, and I just feel like the point you made about with Tom Thibodeau, maybe some players don't want to play for him. I feel like it's irrelevant. I feel like what the Knicks have become now, they're more of an attractive destination. People always want to play in the Garden. It's usually anybody comes into the Garden and balls out. The Garden is the Mecca, the world's most famous arena for all to perform. I feel like if you now bring in a different coach, it's just going to be a completely different. It's starting from scratch, really. It's starting over.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I'm really bothered because they beat Boston. He was supposed to keep his job. But the piece I will leave you with is the what if. What if Boston was 1 or 2 games out of getting first place in the East? What if Boston did that and we played a Cavs? Does Boston beat the Sixers in this sense? That's kind of the piece I wanted to get your thought on. So thanks for the call.
I don't know. I can't play the what if games. We can only go with what if Tatum doesn't get hurt? I still think the Knicks beat the Celtics, but I can't play the what if game. The seeds were where they were, and they weren't ducking that. They were always trying to get the highest seed the whole season. Not whole season, but at least February, March, April, we knew it was going to be Knicks Celtics, and most people thought that was where they'd be out. What I'll say is, now you've seen the Bucks, the Cavs, the Knicks, and OKC all get got in that same fashion that the Knicks blew a game. Those Kenny Atkinson is safe. OKC's coach is safe. I just think a lot of voices and a lot of negativity came in. And when you have an owner like James Dolan, he's not afraid to gamble. He's not afraid to roll the dice and say, okay, we're done here. This is where it ends. But to not have a plan, and I can't say that they don't have a plan. I could say that they didn't have an immediate plan. So it feels like an overreaction. It feels like something that came out of the exit meetings. And yeah, there was a lot of things leading up to this, but I feel like that man deserved another opportunity, another year with this group. You could have fired him in season if it wasn't going right. I mean, he was on the podium after Game 6 talking about it's a big offseason for us. We've got the draft, we got free agency, we got evaluation, and I feel like the carpet was pulled from under him. And it's clear that the carpet was pulled from under him by the owner and not Leon Rose, because there hasn't been a rollout or a plan in place, an exact plan in place, or somebody what are they going to do now? A round of interviews? It just seems like as well, too, with the media, there's so many different leaks, so many different rumors. Players were also uncomfortable with Rick Brunson, Jalen Brunson's dad, on the bench. That's the thing that came out now. There was nothing coming out around the Knicks. It was quiet around the Knicks. We were at the Subway Series last year, and the Mikal Bridges trade hit everybody like a ton of bricks. Okay, they couldn't pay iHeart. Mitchell Robinson's hurt. Who are they going to get as a center? Karl Anthony Towns came out of nowhere. Now it seems like there's a lot of information, a lot of loose lips, a lot of rumors, a lot of conspiracy there, a lot of things that point back to the old Knicks. Ed is in Mohegan on the Fan. What's up, Ed?
What do you say, Keith? What? I mean, I feel bad for the guy and the fans and the Knicks because he was successful. But, I've been thinking about it. And I'm not even a huge fan, but I've been thinking about it. It reminds me a lot of when Joe took over for Buck in '96. Because Buck just went to the wild card. It was the first time the Yankees had, notwithstanding what happened in '94, they had the best record before the strike, but they were doing well. They were on the upside, and they swapped out managers anyway. He's doing it with Thibodeau. Let me ask you this. How well would Thibodeau have done with those teams between 2000 and 2020? I don't think he would have done as good as he's doing with this team. This is a great team. This is the best team they've had since the 90s. You said it yourself. I think you could probably coach the team and get 50 wins out of them. They need somebody to go in there at the end and bring them the rest of the way. And if he felt good about the way he was coaching, why did he change it? He finally utilized the bench in the playoffs. Maybe if he had done that the entire season, those guys would have been up for it. Maybe they would have played a little bit better. Maybe Deuce would have shot a little bit better and not had a 3-point night in one game. He did what everybody was telling him to do, but he did it too late. I don't think it's fair, but it happens.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Of course it happens. And I use the example of Mike Malone and Taylor Jenkins, and especially the climate in this NBA. Nobody's safe. Carlos Mendoza said, when you sit in these seats, like, that can happen. But, the piling on, going back, I don't know what Tibbs would have done with the Knicks teams in the mid-2000s that were bummy. But this is his group. He has brought back consistency going to the playoffs. Jalen Brunson emerged under him. Josh Hart emerged under him. Mitchell Robinson became Mitchell Robinson under him. I don't know. I feel like this guy gets a lot of the blame. And I guess because it's done now, you got to look at it as, well, we could do better. What if you don't do better? What if the next guy does not command this team the same way he did? What if the next guy doesn't and it's just weird because during the season, it's like, okay, they play all these minutes. Then when they get to the playoffs and they're fresh and Brunson is closing teams out in the fourth quarter, he's captain clutch, Bridges is stealing the ball to end the game. And it's like, okay, this is the Iron Man that plays all these minutes. We were patting Tibbs on the back saying your team is in shape. They're well conditioned. He can only work with what he has. It's Parcells who said, if you want me to cook the dinner, you got to let me buy the groceries. I feel like this guy was tasked with cooking dinner and having half the groceries he needed, going up against teams that were playing 10 guys. He plays the guys that he trusts. I really thought he was going to get an opportunity to have a deeper bench, to develop some of the younger guys on the team and come back next year with a better approach, a different approach. But let's see what they do next. That's where we are now. The next coach has to come in with that. The next coach has to pick up the pieces where Tom Thibodeau left them and be better. And I feel like that's such a high bar. It's too much to ask of whoever it is next. It's too much to ask. And the fans are going to be expecting. The fans were expecting this year, and that's why you saw a celebration, right? Because most fans, I would say majority, let's say 70% of fans, except for the really fanatical, were like, they're not beating the Celtics. It's going to be another second round exit, another year. And if that was the case, then you definitely fire the coach. But when you go on to beat the Celtics and you do get to the Eastern Conference Finals, right, I guess there's no award for that. There's no participation trophy for that. And that's why you fire the head coach and you say, all right, it's great what you've done getting us back to prominence. It's great what you've done getting us there. We don't feel like you're going to get us over the hump. But now the question is, who do you feel like will? And you better be right. You better be 100% right. And immediately. Let's go to Jamaica and talk to Moose on the Fan. How you feeling, Moose?
You're Chief. We soften it up. By the way, I'm chilling in Springfield Park. God play. I know you know because you're around that side. For those who don't know, I'll tangentially relate. My exes are still fighting over girls that want to date me.
Thank you, Moose. Go on.
Jokes. But for what it's worth, the sky is not falling on the Knicks, right? I understand, I was personally shocked and was, from a neutral perspective as a Nets fan, to get 2 games away from the finals, why do you fire the coach? But game one was an embarrassment. They didn't show up in 3 other games, so heads were going to roll and all this stuff. But listening to what Moose said, not me, but the guy who was on before you, Mark Malusis, and also what I talked with Alex and Sean about yesterday, the whole Bridges movement, I don't think they should move and the coach, well, what you're saying is true, and I'll let you rebut, but it kind of comes with Bridges or Hart in relation to what Al said, because he said, I want the starting 5 with Mitch to be in there to stay the same that we saw in the rest of the game against the Pacers. So
yeah, I think they got to do better than having Mitchell Robinson in the starting 5 because we all know about his shortcomings as a player. Thanks for the call, Moose. Ultimately, what it comes down to here is, who were the players? I think if you look at this team, I don't think Jalen Brunson said a bad word about the coach. This coach helped him emerge. On Twitter, they're talking about the Brunson leap. I had never heard of this, but the Brunson leap that Jalen Brunson took was under Tom Thibodeau with his dad, Rick Brunson, who was on the staff before he got to the Knicks. Josh Hart becomes this triple-double guy, the heart of the city, the heart of the team under Tom Thibodeau. I think those guys hold more weight or should hold more weight than Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, who just got here. But then again, it goes back to the owner, right? The owner is the one paying for Karl Anthony Towns. He's paying his contract. So he's more invested in what this player can do for me than the coach. Also, they gave up all of those picks in the future that the Brooklyn Nets are sitting on. And shout out to Brooklyn Nets fans, some in my chat, some that talk to me. Brooklyn Nets fans are over there like, oh, this is the beginning of the demise. This is how it starts. This is how they become a terrible franchise and those picks become lottery. Wait a minute. But when you do give up that much for Mikal Bridges, that matters more to the owner. Hey, these are the players we got now. So if this player says something like, let's see, Let's Talk Knicks on Twitter said, a couple of players felt like Tom Thibodeau played the starters too many minutes and had an inability to adjust. One player said he didn't feel like he could play for Thibodeau if the coach returned next season. Karl Anthony Towns said that. Mikal Bridges said that. Like, I think that's enough in an exit meeting to force the owner's hands and say, okay, we can get rid of the coach. We're not going to get rid of Bridges and get what we got or what we gave up for him back. And, like, what type of package are we going to package Karl Anthony Towns? Karl Anthony Towns is an all-star. He's a very unique talent. He's a tough cover. He's an offensive, phenom at times. Won him some games. You want to run it back with him. They put all their eggs in the basket of, okay, we failed because of this coach. We're not going to be able to go any further with this coach. He's hit his ceiling. Roll the dice and hope that the next guy can get it done. And I just think that that's improbable. I think that the odds on that are so high. It's too challenging and you don't know who the guy is. None of us know who the guy is. James in Belmore is on the Fan next. What's up, James?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
No problem.
I usually, listen, I love listening to your show. I usually drive home at night, so I appreciate you being up late all the time. And but I got to be honest with you, I strongly disagree with your take on this firing thing. It's, if you look at 2 years ago, they lost to the Pacers. They took them to Game 7, I believe, right? They go to 7. Brunson was hurt. Hart was hurt. OG was hurt. Their team was completely depleted, and they still took them to 7 games. You can make the argument that in a year later, they did a worse job against the Pacers. They lost in less games, and they had a healthier team, and quite frankly, they even had a more talented team. So, if you're Dolan and you're the supervisor, right? Looking at it from a boss perspective, and you're looking at your outcome of the season, you lost to the same team and you got better, but you did worse against them. So you made no improvement against a team, and where that team, the Pacers, they didn't even get better. They didn't make a big addition after last season.
They have the same guys, but clearly they got better. They're in the finals. They just took game 1 of the finals. You can see the growth.
No. Wait, they got better, let's say, chemistry-wise, you know what I mean? And playing more cohesive as a team, definitely. But I meant, more as, roster type stuff, you know what I mean? The Knicks, they had a Chad, and you know what I mean? So you could really make the argument that they, as a coach standpoint, he did worse. You know what I mean? Like you put up a better fight against the Pacers with a healthier team than with a team that wasn't as healthy.
Yeah, it's tough, James. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you listening at night and calling out. It's tough to compare seasons. It's tough to go back to last year and compare the team that went on their run with Dante DiVincenzo and iHeart versus having Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns on this team. And I think a lot of this was based on disappointment, but cooler heads prevail, and they didn't keep their heads cool. I think a lot of this was an overreaction, but the writing was also on the wall. I think if you're comparing losing to the Pacers in the second round when the team was depleted, I guess it's compounded because that adds on to next year. Okay, you can't lose to the second team. And I think there's a little bit of that as well. Like New York versus Indiana, big market versus small market, being favored in the series, having home court advantage. I feel like Leon Rose might have understood all of the different circumstances and said, okay, you get another year, let's run it back. James Dolan, he hasn't got time for that. Like I said, he got the smell in his nose of, hey, we're supposed to go to the finals. We're starting to prepare for a finals. And we came up short. We got knocked out by Rick Carlisle and these guys again. We blew game one like that. Okay, enough is enough for me. I'm willing to move forward. And I just think moving forward, I don't know when they're going to name the head coach. I don't know who that person's going to be. I guess you can't play it safe either. I was on this week saying no risk it, no biscuit. And they are taking a huge risk that the next coach that they get is going to be probably more innovative offensively, better at drawing up plays, calling plays, inbounding the ball, calling timeouts late in the game, having some different strategy, and works better with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges in this group. But it's twofold. They got to get a coach. They got to get the right coach. And then they also have to have a deeper bench. Look at you'll see tonight. There's going to be 10, 11 players on both teams playing. And the other dynamic is you have Obi Toppin, who you drafted, playing for the Pacers. He had a ridiculous game one. I think he had 5 threes. And Isaiah Hartenstein, who was with the team last year, he's playing for OKC. You're seeing pieces of your group elsewhere in the championship. Who's to say Tom Thibodeau doesn't take a job as an assistant on a contender and work on their defense specifically and, face off against the Knicks next year and knock them out? We don't know. I just think that he deserved another year. He earned another year. Nothing is deserved. Everything is earned and worked for. And him being the architect of these Knicks and bringing the Knicks back and him having, the public vote of confidence, like his captain, his point guard, having his back right away. I feel like if that is how things were on Saturday night, and then we get to Tuesday night, Wednesday, and the guy gets fired, it to me feels like an organization that said, to hell with the plans. We're jumping out of the window on this one, right? New plans. We need new plans. 888-808-1019. Ralph is out in Long Beach on the fan. What's up, Ralph?
Hey, Keith, you're my hero. I'll tell you, I've been coach for over 45 years. And I got to tell you, I see their legs at the end of the game. Your legs are gone. He should have known, to play defense, you're letting guys sit and rush. Then you got, Brunson, legs are shot. I just don't agree with his style of play at all. Destroy Derrick Rose. I know it's not his totally fault, but he's sitting there with a stoic face. If you get hot, he takes you out. But Brian is burning, he takes him out. And if he doesn't like somebody, Shaman's coming in, he does his job, he takes him out. The guy, he favors too many one-dimensional things.
Sorry, Ralph. Thanks for the call. It's a little rough. But I hear what you're saying, too. In no way am I defending Tom Thibodeau and his style. I'm defending that he did enough this year and that this was a successful year and that he deserved another year. And I think that through the exit meetings, they probably went into those exit meetings. And I feel like, how are you sitting on the podium after game 6 talking about it's a big offseason for us? The head coach is a big offseason for us and outlining what it would take and what you need to do to get better. And the captain being offended by a question asking, do you think Tom Thibodeau is the right coach to lead you guys to a championship? Like, are you serious? Like, that's the answer. Like, are you kidding me? You really asking me that right now? How do you go from there Saturday to, I think, Tuesday, this coach is fired because we're singularly focused on winning a championship. And okay, you got to crawl before you walk. You were crawling and starting to stand up to walk in the Eastern Conference Final. Like, the writing was on the wall. Other teams in the NBA just did it. The Heat, the Celtics, the Pacers, and then it was looking like you. It could still be you. But what's the plan? Who's the next guy to lead this group? And like Johnny Bryant, I don't know. Johnny Bryant, I think, would be a good guy to bring back because he was on the bench. But it would be such a hard first-year job for a guy with no experience. The expectation is win now. The expectation is, okay, so it's like you just kicked a coach to the curb that had so much experience, that did adapt in the Eastern Conference Finals. We don't give him any credit for that. We say that wasn't his call, and people say, it went over his head, and, him playing the bench and changing the starting five, that's not what he wanted to do. He did it, though, and they won. I mean, they won that game 3. They won that game 5. But it wasn't good enough for a Knicks franchise that had been terrible for so long. Getting to game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals is no longer good enough, acceptable. And I get it, because that's sports, and that's New York. But if you don't pivot and hire the right coach, which, like, I'm sure it's got to be a name, right? And I don't know if that's the best way to go either. Now I'm hearing Sam Cassell's name. You figure it's got to be a name and somebody with experience, because if you go to a random coach that, this is going to be his rookie season, they're throwing him in the deep end. It's crazy. It's very compelling. I think, like, people are tired of hearing about the Knicks. Well, the Dolan story that came out this weekend about him having his hand, of course he did. Of course he did. People think he's just sitting on the outside. Frank Isola writes, wait, I thought the owner isn't and hasn't been involved. But take a step back. He wasn't a fan of the only Knicks coach to do any real and sustained winning the last quarter century. How is that possible in a results-oriented business? That's madness. You would think that, like, 5 years isn't a long time, but I think that 5 years for James Dolan is too much time. 888-808-1019. I feel like James Dolan's like, that's enough time. Like, you've gotten to the playoffs. You've gotten to the second round. This year should have been the year. That's another thing, too. The narrative changed. People were dreaming. This team that was never an elite team, this team that was never supposed to get out of the third round, the narrative changed during their run that they got to get to the finals. There's a path to the finals. They can be hosting the finals. And when they didn't do it, people are upset. People are mad. Heads have to roll. You need a pound of flesh. And the head coach is the fall guy. Because realistically, it makes no sense to get rid of Mikal Bridges. No sense to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns. It makes more sense to run it back and let this team that we were talking about not having the chemistry, which their chemistry, like they gelled through the run. I said they were forged by fire, going through the Pistons series, going up to Boston when no one believed in them but themselves. Like, they started to gel. But another year, I think they'll be even better. But now they're going to have a different coach in the film room. Shout out to Tibbs. I always hear about his film study and then watching film. They're going to have a different guy in the film room, a different voice in practice, different rotations, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. They do have to evolve. They do have to adapt. And you could definitely say that Tibbs was slow to adapt and stubborn in his ways and wanted to, do it his way and not like the rest of the NBA. But he also did not have the players to do that. He didn't trust some of these guys on the bench.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Like, I don't see how they fire Tibbs and bring back the same group. Like, and whether that's trading for Giannis or trading for KD, trading for both, trading for Jason Kidd, like whatever one of those options and roads they might go down, I just don't see how they can run this back.
So that's a good thought as well. I haven't gotten to that with like the guys out there like KD and Giannis, right? And like the tsunami offer. Is there a thought that this next coach is coming in and he's not coaching this group, that they will move these guys and blow it up? And if that's the case and they don't succeed, you're going to have back-to-back years of what if, right? Because Knicks fans wanted to see Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and I guess Mikal Bridges play with Hart, play with Brunson, because and OG. We didn't get to see that, right? Remember, 2 Januaries ago, January 2024, it was like they couldn't be beat. And then Randle got hurt in February. and ultimately they made their run, but they got hurt. So the thought was, okay, they trade for Mikal Bridges, the last Infinity Stone, the last Dragon Ball, and he's the missing piece of this group. But then you got to give to get. They get rid of Randall and Dante DiVincenzo. So we've never actually got to see that team play. And then if they blow it up again, then you're not going to actually get to see this team grow into what they could be. And when you keep tweaking and changing the teams, it's not a recipe for success. When we look at the Pacers, and I just took a call about, oh, the Pacers, I'm like, you didn't see their growth? They've obviously gotten better chemistry, better defense, better like their style of play through playing. They have essentially the same team, but they're a year stronger for what they went through last year, getting swept by the Celtics. Like they're never out of any game now. They never say die. You can never put them away.
Right. I do think this is a little bit emotional too, and whether it's Dolan, whether it's Leon Rose, this was the easiest road the Knicks were going to have. I'm sorry. You get the Cavs that bounced. You beat the Celtics. This is the easiest road.
That's part of the dreaming.
Going to have this. It doesn't get easier than this. And that's, by the way, that taking nothing away from the Knicks. They didn't cause an injury. They beat the Celtics. They didn't cause the Cavaliers to lose. But they had this easy road, and they blew that game on game one against the Pacers, and just goes downhill from there. That makes you start to wonder and think, can this group actually win a title? Because getting to the final is going to be great, but winning it is the ultimate goal, obviously. Can you win a title with Tibbs playing with 7.5 guys? Because that's what it'll only come down to is that. And if they think they can't, and if they can't convince Tibbs that, hey, you really got to utilize your bench, then I don't mind the Tibbs firing.
I feel like he was convinced, though. I feel like since he did it in the Eastern Conference Finals, that bleeds into next year where it's like, I have to do this. I have to adapt, evolve, or dissolve. But now he's not going to get the opportunity. The next guy will. And maybe that's why look at Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr. They made that team, Mark Jackson gets credit for, coaching up that team and how they made that team. And then Kerr took them to the promised land, but they obviously had the players, and then they get KD or whatever. It's just, I don't know. That's the whole thing. We don't know. We don't have the coach. We don't have the results of next season. So that's why there's a ton to talk about. Is this a mistake? Is it not? I have to lean towards it being a mistake because in theory, the Pacers just got the Thunder. What if they go up 2-0 tonight? What if they win the finals? And it's like, okay, you fired a guy who was working on this. I feel like 5 years is not a lot of time. I feel like he had the trust of enough of the players, and the other guys that spoke out would have to get over it. And I think a way they would get over it is if you add a couple more pieces, a couple more bench pieces where Tibbs says, okay, I do trust these guys, and I will go to my bench now, learning from last year and seeing the rest of the league. But that's it. That story is over. The story now is who is the next head coach of the New York Knicks, who leads these New York Knicks, and if these New York Knicks that we saw this year come back, or they make a tsunami offer to add Giannis, or they add KD, and if they do that, they're going to move away from a Karl Anthony Towns, maybe a Bridges, or there's going to be some movement because they don't have the picks just to acquire a player. They're going to have to move players in that deal. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan. 1 hour down. When we come back, we'll start talking a little bit about the New York Mets. The New York Mets play at 3:10, so I'd like to get a little bit of a pregame conversation in on what they're doing out in Colorado, where they rank in their division, where they rank in the National League and all of baseball, and some of the changes that I'm seeing with them and how impressed I've been with David Stearns, the pitching lab, and this group itself. Who's the Yankees' biggest rival? It's not the Mets, but we'll talk about it. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Let's see, man. Chat was going in though. Sunday bangerang. Doing what I could do. What up, bro? Bringing Steve Nash. Yeah, that was a stupid decision. Just a little sauce. Best fan experience at a game, the Knicks. Keith, are you going to any of the Subway Series games? I'm not planning on it. I don't like driving all the way out to Queens. I damn sure don't like taking the train all the way out there, so probably not. First and last games of the series, we've been losing the middle game of this. Yeah, are you talking about the Yankees losing the second game of the series, setting up the rubber match? I'm gonna get into that. Steve Nash. Steve Nash is doing a podcast with LeBron since his other podcast host, JJ Redick, is now the coach of the Lakers. We know. I tried to tell people this was Dolan, and they didn't want to hear me. I was saying this is clearly Dolan, bro. Who writes the checks? Who's got all the money? Who's the ultimate decision maker? Dolan. Leon Rose would have stuck with the dude for another year. Yo, what up, bro? Brooklyn Nets are in better shape than the New York Knicks going forward into the future than you think because of firing former head coach. Time will tell. I know there are Nets fans like, oh, this is how it starts, yo. This is how the demise of the New York Knicks starts. They fire the coach. Then next thing you know, they try and make a trade for Giannis. That doesn't work. They got to blow it up. Like, I believe Giannis would come here for 1 year and then have to decide whether to sign or not. The make it happen Mets. Yeah, we're going to get into a little conversation around the Mets next. Dwayne, what up, man? All right, let's see. Let's see. Gary Cohen and SNY with cool stat noting Holmes' ERA dipped to 2.96 tonight, giving Mets 4 starters with the ERA under 3. Like, their pitching lab has been insane. Mets have the second best record in baseball. 3.5 game lead. John Harper says one thing that jumps out about Ronnie Mauricio is his arm, throws bullets from third base, but also makes that hard snap throw from low angle on the move when necessary. Could be very good there defensively. Yeah. Let's see. Do we have the Mets lineup? Let's go with the Mets lineup. Let's see what the Tigers are doing. The Tigers are currently up 2-0 on the Cubs. Two great teams facing off. We're going to talk baseball in a second. We're going to hit some of the Mets conversation. Let me see if I can see the Mets 7-3 in their last 10. Later. Jazz talking right now. Let me see. Think there should be more trash talking baseball. Anyone agrees? Anyway, free smoke at 7. Just playing into the rivalry. Three and a half games ahead of the Phillies. Best record in the NL. 1 win short of the Tigers. I need some more ice. Okay, here we go. Coming back in. Good. Competition is good. Hunter Dobbing? I don't even know who the hell Hunter Dobbing is. Hunter Dobbing? I don't know who Hunter Dobbing is, bro. Did you spell his name wrong? Responding to Hunter Dobbing? It wasn't just Moose that said it. Everybody's been talking about it. This is my first time talking about it. Sauce them up. Everlasting flavor. It is different. Keith McPherson on the Fan in New York. Okay, it's a little after 2 p.m. now. Let's start talking Mets. Still taking calls on the Knicks, of course. We're going to do that all week and probably all summer. The Knicks, now being good, have put them into the conversation with the Mets, with the Yankees, and I'll leave the other New York teams out. The Mets are a good team. Hello. No, like the Mets are consistently good, and they're not falling off. And even if their highest paid player isn't performing, they find ways to win. Even if guys get hurt, they find ways to win. The evidence of a well-built team is the depth. The evidence of a pitching lab is what we're seeing. Like, it's not a fluke. They picked up from where they left off last year. They went on a run around this time last year to get all the way to the NLCS. And many of us pointed to Grimace. Many of us pointed to OMG and Candelita, a song. Many of us pointed to all these different things. But really, where is all that now? What we can point to is Steve Cohen, David Stearns, Carlos Mendoza, and the Make It Happen Mets. They make it happen. And I know people want to reduce the Rockies. Like I literally had someone say, don't talk about Mauricio and the Mets. He's hitting against the Rockies. I mean, the Rockies are a major league team. They can only play who's in front of them. If they lose today to the Rockies, you'll make a scene out of that. You'll make that a headline story. So they got to get it done, and I think they will. It's good to see them playing with energy, fired up. Pete Alonso. It's good to see going back to the Dodger series, a guy like Juan Soto laughing and shuffling and flipping a water bottle. To me, I don't care about it, but like I you needed it, right? With all the conversation about him not enjoying his time as a Met, him struggling to transition a little bit. There was even an article that I saw where Scott Boras acknowledged, the hurdle that Juan Soto had to get over returning to Yankee Stadium as a Met. But like that's in the rear view now. That's in the rear view now. The Mets pitching lab is ridiculous. Like Paul Blackburn comes out of the pitching lab against the Dodgers, solid. Don't got to worry about him. Griffin Canning is probably the most shiny object coming out of there. It makes no sense that Griffin Canning is the ace that he is. And then Clay Holmes, who pitched yesterday. Clay Holmes, who, like, this guy was a closer, high leverage reliever, and now a starter. He's not Max Fried, but he's good in his own right. 888-808-1019. Let's see. I had a tweet from John Harper, who I had on not too long ago. He said, Gary Cohen and SNY dropped a cool stat, noting that Holmes' ERA dipped to 2.96 tonight, giving the Mets 4 starters with an ERA under 3. Last time the Mets could say that through 65 games was 1985 with Gooden, Darling, Sid, and Ed Lynch. So as we talk about how long it took for the Knicks to get good, how long it's taken, obviously, for the Mets now to look like they have a consistent operation here, to look like they are a contender here. And they're not looking at like it. They are. They are. You saw them go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers, and obviously they split with the Dodgers, but you could argue that they could have swept the Dodgers. They could have. If they didn't blow that last game, if they could have won that game in extras where Nimmo couldn't find the ball, whatever. They actually took the season series from the Dodgers, so they've got them there. When you look at this Mets team last night celebrating, right, after getting that win, the Phillies lost to the Pirates. The Braves have lost 6 in a row. The Mets have a 3.5-game lead in first, the best record in the National League. And let me look at the scores right now. The Tigers are up 2-0 on the Cubs, another really good team. But let's say the Cubs beat the Tigers today and then the Mets get another win, then they're at the top of the league. And when you look at Ronnie Mauricio, like when you just look at him, he's a specimen. A little bit of a tough start against the Dodgers, but that's understandable. So a softer landing spot here against the Rockies. He hit the furthest home run of the year for the Mets. And when you see his stature, when you see how he stands and even his swing and how big this guy is, a left-handed hitter, power hitter, he's a threat, right? You lose Vientos. Beatty had a terrible play that cost you, whatever. You got this guy at third base. I'm going to read another tweet from John Harper about him. John Harper said, one thing that jumps out about Ronnie Mauricio is his arm. He throws bullets from third base, but also makes that hard snap throw from a low angle on the move when necessary. Could be very good there defensively. Could be. So the rich only get richer, right? Frankie Montas is on his way back. I don't know how you feel about that, but Sean Manaea is on his way back. Before you know it, they will get Jose Siri, Jesse Winker, Mark Vientos back. It's going to be a crowded room. And then they also have the trade deadline to improve this team. And I just look at the Mets as being one of the top contenders in the National League. 888-808-1019. Just put in respect where respect is due. 3:10 coming up in 1 hour. We will watch the Mets in the third game against the Rockies. They have already swept them, or they have already taken the series, and I expect them to sweep them. let's see. Let me read this lineup before we get back to the Knicks calls. 888-808-1019. 310 out in Denver. Tylor McGill on the mound. Francisco Lindor will lead off in center field. Brandon Nimmo will hit second in left field. Juan Soto will bat third out in right field. Pete Alonso will bat cleanup at first base. Jeff McNeil will bat fifth at second base. Ronnie Mauricio will bat sixth, doing the DHing. Tyrone Taylor will bat seventh out in center field. Brett Beatty will be back at third base, batting eighth. And Francisco Alvarez will be doing the catching, batting ninth. And I do believe I had a note about Francisco Alvarez and his upcoming paternity leave. Yeah, Anthony DeComo writes, Francisco Alvarez and his partner are expecting a child any day. So the Mets brought Hayden Sanger to Denver on the taxi squad this morning. He'll sub in if Alvarez needs to leave. Okay, back to the phones we go, talking about the Knicks and the Knicks' future. It's just unknown. And I'll say this. Sometimes you got to take a risk. Sometimes you got to be ahead of the game. If the Knicks do hire the right coach, if the Knicks do win another 50 games, if the Knicks do find themselves in the finals next year, none of this will matter. But it matters right now. It matters right now because I expected them to play it safe. I expected them to stay the course, improve around the margins, and let this head coach continue to evolve and adapt and let this group run it back for a year or two. But hey, I think you have an owner who is not waiting on anything. I think you have a fan base that is starving, and he could see how crazy that fan base was, from the people out in the streets to even the celebrities showing up. And he wants to feed them. He wants to feed the beast. He wants to give the fans what they want. They are singularly focused on winning a championship. Yes, the New York Knicks, that for years we felt like, they're just good selling tickets and packing the garden and not winning anything. No, now in this short window, they expect to win the whole damn thing. And if you come up short like Tom Thibodeau has every year of his 5 years here, that's enough time and you got to go. 888-808-1019. Val is in the Bronx on the Fan. Welcome back, Val.
Yes, respect, King. Talk to you on a Sunday.
Yes, sir.
You know, I want to say some things about this whole Tish thing, but you know, because what I'm going to say might sound like I'm disparaging him, I want to make sure that it's understood that I am not. So firstly, let me just say, Mr. Tom Thibodeau, I said it in the wee hours on Saturday morning when I was talking to Hop, and I'm going to say it now. Mr. Tish, thank you very, very much for everything that you did for us over the last 5 years. Nobody has said that, and I think we've all gotten kind of like, you know, picking our sides and everything like that, but he does deserve a lot of credit, a lot of kudos. A big, big thank you, and make sure that you let him know that we appreciate everything that you did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like, you know, and I'm going to get into a few things about it, but the first thing, there's some recency bias going on with this conversation because everybody, and I said it to you before, when we talked about, like, you know, what were the next moves and stuff like that. You know, yes, we fix around the margins and stuff like that, but there was a lot of, like, change that you were looking for from just about every element of the team, from the coach to the players, everything. And that being said, you know, everybody's focusing on, like, you know, give Tibbs a chance and, like, give him a chance to evolve. But I'm still going to say, who's to say that these conversations didn't start last off season? Who's to say that, you know, because people keep, and I think the players have something to do with it. I think Dolan has something to do with it. But I think whether or not Rose was, like, you know, totally on board with it, or whether or not he was kind of like on the fence, Tibbs didn't give him enough things, enough bullets in his holster to be able to fight back any kind of issues that somebody might have thrown at him. Because he might have been asking Tibbs to do the same things that he was talking about with the bench, the same things he was talking about with his time management since last year. And you know, to some extent, everything is fine until it doesn't work. If you look at how we lost that series, and even some of the problems we had in other ones, even some of the problems we had during the season, you know, Tibbs has been doing things a certain way, and they said, you know what, you're fine. Keep going. Do what you want. We're talking to you about it, but, you know, it's your choice. And right up until the end, when we got to the end, all the things that people complained about, you know what I'm saying? All the things as far as, you know, how he used the bench, the time management, his you know, out of bounds strategy as far as, like, you know, giving them a writing up a play or something like that for them to go back in, all that stuff. You know, he continues to do it. You know what I'm saying? And it can get to a point where it's like, I gave you that chance. You did what you did. You took it to where you could take it, and now we're at a point where I needed more. The things that beat us in Indiana were a lot of the same things they've been arguing about. And even if let's say that Rose does go out now and beats up the bench and everything like that. And people keep saying that, like, I even heard the quote about the 7.5 guys that he has. I don't know that we can even say that definitively because he's never really like run his bench for you to see what they actually are. So to say that they're not good, we're all saying that. And to some extent, I do agree. But he never gave, like, even with the way that you do that stuff, maybe Leon wanted him to play some of these guys so they could see their flaws and maybe decide to move off of them and get somebody else. I don't even have that choice now because you didn't give me a chance to see what they could do. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really weird. And I said it to Hoff too. It's kind of like, you're friends of a couple that just got divorced and you don't know which side to pick. And the funny thing was, for a while, they looked like the perfect couple. From the outside looking in, it seemed like Rose, even going back to before, we always felt like Rose was getting Tibbs exactly the kind of players that he wanted. And then if you look at some of these guys, I said that too. He's telling you that, as much as people say, well, the bench is not good, he's telling you that I can't play these people. These people aren't good. These players aren't good enough for me. But then you see, and I'm going to just use Obi Toppin as just one example, but he is just one of a few. You got the Quentin Grimes. There's all kinds of, you got Cornette, who was with the Celtics. And like I told him, if I think about it, I could probably think of a name from the Pistons. There's guys littered around the league that he kept telling you, I can't keep them. I can't work them on my bench. I can't do anything. They go off other places. They get developed. And Obi Toppin is busting it on your face in the series that you lose. You know what I'm saying? Their bench is running up and down and doing things that Tiz is telling you, no, just my guys. I think it's a little bit naive to think that this conversation about, what I need you to do is something that's just happening right now. We lost last year because of attrition. And a lot of people tell you he ran that team into the ground, and that's what caused a lot of that to happen. You come back again this year, I put people on the bench, and yes, I told you that too. The team was a little bit, incomplete because of the way some of the things happened just before we started and the acquisitions we got, and we never got a chance to really fill out the roster. But again, to ask Leon Rose to trust Tibbs, if I do these things next season, that you're going to do what I need you to do is kind of a little bit of a ask that's like,
Sorry, Val. Thank you for the call. I had to get back into the conversation before I lose my train of thought. But I understand what you're talking about. So let's play the game of like, it's funny. I was thinking, when was I ever under a performance review? I worked at Guitar Center back in the day, way back in the day. And we built the Guitar Center in Ocean Township. I was so proud to be one of 30 people that opened that Guitar Center. And everything was all good for the first couple months. And then by like the 4th or 5th months, it's like, sales aren't moving the right way. You guys are slacking off. You're taking liberties. You guys are not coming back on time from your lunch breaks. You're clocking in late. People used to take cigarette breaks and be out there. Like now everybody's under performance review. And it was like things that you had to fill out daily. You were expected to sell a certain amount of merch and audio equipment and guitars and stuff like that. And if you didn't, you needed to have a reason why. And so, like, let's say there was a performance review for Leon Rose in this season. Why did he have an extension? Why did Tom Thibodeau have a 3-year extension with the New York Knicks that was set to begin next season? Why would you re-up a guy that you're putting his feet to the fire, and you're saying, hey, if you don't do these things, we're just going to fire you and not give you the extension? What? Okay, even I'll do another one. Take the contract extension and the guaranteed $30 million out of it, because that's again where it goes back to Dolan. Dolan's like, I don't care about that $30 million. Goodbye. Why would you put a guy under a performance review and then give him Mikal Bridges and then quickly give him Karl Anthony Towns and throw him into a season and say, good luck, do what you got to do, figure it out, start playing your bench? Start calling timeouts better. Start having better rotations, better inbound plays, drawing up plays at the end of the game. So like you put a lot of pressure on him, but at the same time, you assured him that he was safe. I don't know. To me, the math ain't mathing. I'm not understanding that. But what I do understand is that the narrative was out there for a long time. It's the same thing that's been talked about Tibbs' whole career. He runs his guys into the ground. It's never going to work. He's never going to win a championship. It didn't happen with the Bulls. It didn't happen with the Timberwolves. It's not going to happen with the Knicks. Okay. And then even through this season, this Knicks team is good. We got 2 all-star starters. We got OG. We got Mikal. But ultimately, they're going to get beat by the Celtics in the second round, and that's not good enough. Fire this coach. Fire this coach. Fire this coach. He won't change. He won't change. Then when he does change, and when you do get to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's not good enough. That's a step forward. That was progress. No? Lee is in Brooklyn on the Fan. What's up, Lee? Lee, are you there? Going once, twice. Okay, Anthony out on Staten Island. It's your turn. What's up, Ant?
What's going on, Keith? This is my first time calling you. Never got a chance to speak.
Ding, ding, ding. First time caller for me. Thank you.
I call the station all the time, but this is my first time with you. But so I think you have great takes. Like whenever I do listen to you, I think you do have great takes. As a Knicks fan, you know, I do disagree with the firing. I don't think I just can't justify firing the guy after he completely changed the culture of the team. You know, he led us to winning seasons. You know, everything's changing about the Knicks, and he has a big part in that. But with that being said, I want your takes because I really do respect your takes. If you could take any coach in the NBA, even if they're hired right now by somebody else, any coach in the NBA, what kind of coach do you think is the right coach to coach this team? If you could take anybody, they could be on a team right now coaching that team. Like, who do you think that guy would be that's going to lead this group to the next step?
I mean, I like the thought of Jason Kidd because he played in this market, because he had coached Jalen Brunson before. If they're going to get Giannis, he's coached him before. I mean, he's gone through a few different markets and iterations. He knows what it took. He took the team to the finals just 2 years ago in Dallas. I like the thought of Jason Kidd. I don't like it as a Nets fan, but I think he would be the right guy to come in here. And the stage wouldn't be too big for a Jason Kidd, and he would immediately command respect. Ime Udoka even too. He's got a little bit of edge to him. He's a little bit of a hard ass. And like we see what he immediately did in Houston. The Brooklyn Nets wanted to pick him up. He probably would have won with the Celtics, like Joe Mazzulla won with the Celtics because he inherited his job. Even Jeff Van Gundy, in theory, right? If he wasn't the Jeff Van Gundy, if he was a different guy, but also his past is what makes him attractive. But like he's been hanging out in the league and understanding how the league has evolved, and he knows the market. But I don't know, it like the calculus of who the guy is, his image, his personality, how it's going to fit with this team, how he's going to be able to lead. Like that's what they have to do now. And I feel like that is a harder job than just saying, hey, we can make Tom Thibodeau adapt. We can get him some better pieces and make him evolve and run it back. Like I feel like it would have been easier to get through to Tom Thibodeau than to find a new guy that just comes in ready and made for the job.
Well, I don't think the Mavs are going to grant us that interview anyway with Jason Kidd. I don't think they're going to just,
Didn't the Mavs already grant?
Go talk to him, because I think if he does talk to him, they're going to be something happen and get Jason Kidd. I do think that that's where the direction that I would want to go. I think Kidd would be better at, utilizing the bench. I think he would be a good pairing with even a Brunson-style player. I think that Kidd makes the most sense, but I don't think it's realistic to say, oh yeah, we're just going to get Jason Kidd. Everyone I feel like is very honed in on, Kidd is going to be the guy. I don't think they're going to even get the opportunity to talk to this guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
To say, yeah, Jason Kidd's going to be our coach. He's elsewhere, and I don't see the Mavericks saying, yeah, go ahead, go have your interview and do whatever you want with you.
No, they probably wouldn't, because their fans already hate them. And like Nico Harrison needs to just not make any stupid moves like that. And we're up against it. Thank you for the call. But that's the thing before we go to break here. 888-808-1019. I was saying last week, you don't have a plan in place if your plan is contingent with another fan base allowing you to interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a plan. If your plan is to interview people that are elsewhere and make moves, trades with other, like, that's not a plan. That involves then no, like that's not a plan. Jason Kidd, and like that's where we are now. We're gonna talk about Jason Kidd until his name comes off the board. Jay Wright has come off the board. Danny Hurley has come off the board. Some of these other coaches' names have come off the board, and then we're gonna get to the point where the Knicks are stuck with, I don't know, Johnny Bryant. And if they end up just hiring Johnny Bryant because he's available and he's the next guy and he's not the right guy and this blows up in their faces, like this will be marked as a disaster. This will be marked as one of the biggest mistakes in the history of the Knicks and New York sports, because this is a team ready to win a championship. This is a team that did make progress, took a step forward. And I think you were better suited to try and make this head coach evolve and adapt and give him the pieces where he would be more inclined to do that, right? Don't give him 7.5 players. He needs 10 that he can trust, that he can work with. And another year of coaching Karl Anthony Towns with this group, Mikal Bridges with this group, but that's it. Done. They blew it up. And I feel like they blew it up because of emotion. I feel like they blew it up because of too many opinions. And I've been saying this all week. You want to make the wrong decision in life, get everybody's opinion on it. You're thinking about whether to quit your job, go to another job. You're thinking about proposing to somebody. You're thinking about doing something crazy. Like get 10 different opinions on what you should do with your life and base it off of that. No, you gotta, sometimes you got cooler heads gotta prevail. And sometimes you gotta just stay the course. It's easy to make a reaction like that because you're disappointed. It's easy to say, okay, this is as far as we're going to get with this guy. If you don't have the next guy in line, you just potentially set your franchise back the whole 5 years since he came in. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan, a little Sunday sauce. I'm on till 5. When we come back, I do have to plant seeds so we can talk about the Yankees the rest of the way. I said Jazz Chisholm, coming back and resting, and we got to talk about the whole 70% thing he talked about and him not being in the lineup, him not playing 70% of the game yesterday. But there's a little bit of a back and forth, right? I hear all this talk about who the rival of the Yankees is now and that the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry is not a rivalry. Well, Jazz is online talking trash to a Red Sox player. We'll get into it. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Okay. Let me clear some of these tabs. Yeah, Lindor playing with that fractured pinky is crazy. Hunter Dobbins, got it. Okay, so in the chat, right, Boone's wife, Hunter Dobbins. That's what I was like, Hunter Dobbins. That's who's pitching tonight. Now I see where this stuff is coming from. Excuse me. So Dobbins is 2-1 with a 4.06 ERA. Let's see, Jazz. We're the Yankees. He had a quote last night where he was like, "We gotta let them know we're the Yankees." Every time someone, yeah. I'm gonna send this to Paulie too. Jazz. Allergies bugging me up. Every time somebody steps in, they're like, bro, chill, bro. Jazz on being the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. Where is that now? Okay. So sometimes you'll see me like doing this. I'm sending audio to my producer. All right, now I'll go back to the chat. Good afternoon. Either is it me or I'd rather put Volpe in the 9th hole with no pressure and just get on base and stop pulling the damn ball? Well, they're not going to do that. He's a better hitter than the guys that we are batting down there. And they're not going to do that. When you see the righty, lefty, they like putting him closer to the middle of the order than the bottom of the order. They'll put Wells down there. They'll put Peraza down there. They'll put Reyes down there. Grimace made the Mets, sure. You add Manaea to that Mets pitching rotation, it gets better. Could see it. Yeah, I'm waiting for Jason Kidd and the Mavericks to just come out and be like, nah, no. Actually, no, you're not allowed to talk to our guy, actually. I love how Lindor has taken Mauricio under his wing and gives him guidance, of course. Yeah, I'm at the crib. I did Thursday and I did Friday. So I'm at the crib tonight. It is what it is. I'm glad I didn't go last night because that game pissed me off. And I gotta put the baby to bed. You know the deal. When my son is old enough to be out there with me, we'll be out there. But in these young years of, you know, him wanting dada, you know, like I'm at that point in my life with my son. Like, he doesn't get dada at bedtime or at wake up as much because I work nights. So what I'm seeing is how much he really is like locked in on me. You know, like he wants his dad and he loves his mom, but like when it's me, him and his mom together, he's verbally being like, no, dada get me. No, dada change me. No, dada push me. No, dada feed me. Like, he's doing that because he doesn't know if he's going to get, like, he don't know where daddy's going to be tomorrow, tonight, whatever. So, part of it, man. I'm saucing on you. Back to the show. 888-808-1019, a Sunday show, 1 to 5. We started off talking about James Dolan and how, of course, he has something to do with this. We kind of knew that, but people wanted to say, no, this is a Leon Rose firing. Of course not. And it's okay. It's done. Where do the Knicks go from here? 888-808-1019. I mean, Jason Kidd sounds good in theory, but he has a job and is with an organization that I don't know if those fans will go for it. And, you know, speaking of fans going for it, I know fans go for the rivalry. I was at the game Friday night. I knew not to go Saturday night. And, yeah, we're going to get into the conversation around the lineup. Obviously, Volpe got hit by pitch. So Volpe wasn't in the lineup for rest. They said he was a little stiff, a little sore. Waiting. Let's see. The Yankee lineup's not out. Yeah, we're waiting on that Yankee lineup to drop. But when I saw the Yankee lineup yesterday, I'm like, okay, what's up with Jazz? What's up with Jazz, yo? Already? Jazz a week ago was with the Somerset Patriots. Something going on with Jazz? Nothing was wrong with Jazz. It was scheduled rest. Let's see. I think I have Aaron Boone audio talking about that if you guys missed that. Because, like, of course, right, you got to know, okay, no Volpe. Volpe got hit by pitch. Understood. and we expect him to be in the lineup tonight. But Jazz not being in the lineup, like, bro, they said it was a scheduled rest, plan resting, and we've seen the Yankees do this. But here's my gripe with it: he missed a whole month with the oblique thing. Like, I feel like they took extra time with the oblique thing. He's 27 years old. He came back super hot. He came back as a Super Saiyan. He played Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He had an impact on all of those games, whether it was hitting home runs, whether it was swinging bunts, stealing bases, or going back to third base, which he seamlessly picks up third base. Like, hey, no problem. No problem. I know I played third base for the first time last year. You move me back to second base. I've been out. I'll go right back to third. No problem. But then he also talked about, playing at 70%. And I thought that had something to do with it. I'm like, are they sitting him because he talked about playing at 70%? We'll queue up all the audio so you can hear it if you haven't heard it. I know most Yankee fans have, but let me take a call. We'll keep taking calls on the Knicks, on the Mets, on the Yankees, and then we'll get to the Yankee conversation from yesterday's wonky Red Sox Yankees game. It was just one of those weird games. I was making notes of all the little things. We'll go through that too. When you're watching Red Sox Yankees, it doesn't matter if it's a rivalry or not to you. It doesn't matter if they're first place, second place, if they're good teams, who's playing. Like, you're just going to get a good series and a little bit of weirdness and baseball being baseball, and we got some of that last night. John on Long Island on the Fan. Go for it, John.
Hey, what's up, Steve? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
I want to talk about the Yankees real quick, but I just got to say real quick because you said the Mets have 4 starters on a 3-year ERA. They have 3, and none of them are in the top 40 in WHIP, which I find to be very important in a good pitcher, and none of them are in the top 40 in innings pitched. So I think they got to make moves at the trade deadline. But when it comes to the Yankees, I want to hear what you think about the Yankees. I think that Jazz should be he's a natural second baseman. The hits that he can take away when he runs out there to the short field is so important. So I'd rather see him at second. So what do you see out there trade deadline wise for a third baseman and cheap? Because Arenado's expensive and he's not hitting. And I'm sitting here Miguel Andujar is hitting and he'll probably be available. And we already know he can hit with the Yankees. If the Yankees don't want to worry about money and they want to stick a pin in the butt of the Mets for taking Soto, maybe they go after DeGrom. So I kind of want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, and going back to the Mets, it's Griffin Canning, it's Kodai Senga, Clay Holmes. Okay, and then Paul Blackburn, I think, was a 4.
That doesn't have innings to qualify.
Either way, they've been pretty solid. Yeah, I think that was going off of John Harper's tweet. So maybe that is not accurate, but I thought that was accurate in their 6-man rotation. I know Tyler McGill's got a 377. Either way, whatever. Just putting respect on their pitching lab and what the Mets pitching has been able to do. No one saw them being this good. And the strength of their team was supposed to be the lineup, and they've carried them. But with the Yankees, you're going to hear IKF. I guess you just mentioned Miguel Andujar. I always say no more second tours. Don't bring a guy back. The Yankees love doing that. Eugenio Suarez, his name is being thrown around now. People want to see him come into here, play third base, move Jazz back to second. But like you said, the price. There's going to be some guys that the Yankees won't move, and the price is going to be high for the Yankees. Everyone knows the Yankees are good. Everyone knows the Yankees were in the World Series last year, and they, quote-unquote, have a better team this year. I think the asking price is going to be high. Everyone's going to be asking for George Lombard Jr. or Spencer Jones. You might see Spencer Jones get moved. I doubt it. And I feel like the Yankees can't get rid of their young pitching prospects. You always need more pitching. But Cashman's going to work on it, and I think Cashman will get somebody in this infield with a right-handed bat that we're not thinking about, and it's not going to cost us too much.
Yeah, somebody that has a high, batted ball in play, kind of average, somebody that just makes a lot of contact because of the strikeouts in the bottom of the lineup when,
guys are afraid of our bigger hitters, so they pitch around them. We load the bases, and then we get guys striking out. It's always a problem. So a guy that can just put contact, on the ball is important. I know that they're after, the rumor is they're after this big Japanese guy for corner outfield or corner infield next year. So I know they only want like a 1-year kind of thing if they're going to make a trade. I think that's why they went with the Goldschmidt 1-year thing too. So I'm just wondering, because I know that the Yankees have there's something going on with it in their minds for losing last year. It felt terrible. It was kind of embarrassing, that fifth inning thing. It's always going to live in the lore. So I feel like the Yankees are going to pull some triggers. And then I know across town, Uncle Steve isn't going to let them, be the headline. So he's going to pull triggers too. I mean, I think this year we have the biggest chance for a Subway Series that we have in a long time.
Yeah, I don't need it, but if it happens, so be it. Thanks for the call, John. And I'm going back and checking my work a bit. Paul Blackburn just came back, so you can't count him. Clay Holmes, as of today, has a 2.95 ERA. Check him off. Kodai Senga has a 1.59 ERA. Check him off. David Peterson has a 2.80 ERA. Check him off. And last but not least, I think you just said Griffin Canning does not have an ERA below 3. He's got a 2.9 ERA. So check him off and go back to what I said before, coming from John Harper, SNY. The Mets pitching lab and the Mets rotation, right? And supposedly this came from Gary Cohen and the SNY broadcast last night, that the Mets have 4 starters with an ERA under 3, and that's correct. But I know, Yankee fans, we don't want to give the Mets anything. And I'm not going to give you the rivalry thing. I'm not. I heard Evan talking about it. I think Paul texted me, but I was deep in Yankee land. By the time I responded back to you, I'm like, what's the Yankee? I'm like, what's the Yankee? I think you asked, who's the Yankees' biggest rival at 428? I think I responded at 519. I said, hitting in October.
Clever answer. It wasn't what he was looking for, but he thought it was a very clever answer.
That is the rival that we meet. That is our final boss every single time. That is M. Bison. When we get to October, it's like, Judge can't hit. Everybody else can't hit. Yeah. I mean, if you know, you know. But when we talk about rivals too, I could go into the Dodgers are a bigger rival to the Yankees right now than the Mets. Like, the Yankees beat the Mets in the Subway Series. There was a lot of juice on that series, Sunday Night Baseball. But Yankee fans wanted so badly to go to Dodger Stadium and beat them, and losing to them again, those were the worst losses of the season. And the Yankees have had some terrible losses this season. They've blown a lot of games. Everybody in their division is a rival. We just don't respect them. Maybe that's part of it too. A lot of Yankee fans look at the Mets like Jeter, like they're just the Mets. They're always punching up. They want so badly to be respected. They're not in our weight class. They're JV to varsity. But I'm putting respect on this Mets team. I don't think they're the Yankees' rival though. They're in the National League. Yes, they play the Subway Series, and this year it's 6 games. You'll get 3 more in Citi Field, but I don't think that they're the Yankees' biggest rival. And I heard EJ talk about it. Al Cintrone talk. All Met fans are saying now, like, the Yankees' biggest rival is the Red Sox are the Yankees' biggest rival.
There's a chance that the Mets and Yankees' biggest rival, they're both the Dodgers.
And the Dodgers, exactly. Right now, the Dodgers. We hate the Dodgers.
Most baseball fans realize that it's way more important for you guys to be the team in your own division, your own league, and it's way more important for the Mets to be their own of a team in their own division and their own league. From a fan perspective, obviously, they're going back and forth with each other.
You know what it is? It's Juan Soto more than the Mets. It was about Juan Soto more than it was the Mets. It was about showing up Juan Soto, making Juan Soto feel bad for making that decision and look bad and show him you made a mistake. And then we got off of it. It's not the Astros anymore, but for how long was it? F. Altuve. And that turned into F. Juan Soto. So, yeah, the Yankees' biggest rival, really the biggest rivalry in baseball is Yankee fans versus other Yankee fans. We can't agree on anything. Oh, well, they let these guys shave their beards. Hey, did you see Carlos Rodon? He looks like the best version of himself with a beard. We'll talk about Rodon when we come back. We'll cue up the audio around the Jazz Chisholm thing It bothered me, but ultimately it's on brand. This is what the Yankees do. They have scheduled rest. They put lineups together with Pablo Reyes and Peraza there, and I'm like, why? It's because these guys have like a rapport or something. Like, to me, it's like, why you got to cool Jazz off? Jazz has been hot. Now you want to cool him off. 888-808-1019. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Yankees. Taking your call still on the Knicks, on the Mets. Keith McPherson on the Fan. A little Sunday sauce. BRB. I was about to say, bro, I knew I wasn't tweaking with that. I'm like that didn't even come from me. That came from John Harper and the Mets broadcast. That they have a really good rotation, the Mets, right? Like, I just went through all of them. David Peterson, Griffin Canning, Kodai Senga, Clay Holmes. Now, you leave out Tyler McGill with a 3.77 and Paul Blackburn, who just came back. That's 4 out of 6. Amber's in here all the way from Utah. Hello, Amber. What if your son decides to be a Met fan, Keith? It's impossible. He doesn't even know what the Mets are. Every day he's saying, Yankee game, dada, Yankee game, Yankee logo, Yankee logo. We got nothing but Yankee logos in my house. The Yankee game is always on the TV. When his mom tells him, where's dada? Yankee game. I got to take him to another game next month. He was banned for a little while, but I'm going to unban him. His terrible twos, they're not good for the stadium, but I think, like, I had him in the suite, and now next time I'm going to have him on the field level. But, yeah, what if he becomes a Mets fan? He would have to discover that outside the house and bring it home. And then when he brings it home, that's where it ends. You know, you bring that home to dada, dada's not going for that. Who's going to buy you Mets gear in the house? Not my mom. His mom's a Yankee fan. His grandfathers are Yankee fans. We're not doing that. That's the one team. Like, I didn't make him a Brooklyn Nets fan. I'm not making him a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm not even making him a New Jersey Nets fan. The one team that he has clothes and hats and things for are the Yankees. He's already a Yankee baby. Because I'm a Yankee. Yeah, I'm a Yankee baby. I can't find SNY. It takes forever to go through these channels. I don't know. Okay, here it is. Channel 24. Should be coming up on SNY, right? It's good. How about them Cowboys? I couldn't care less for them at this juncture of my life. I'm not a diehard Dallas fan. I don't care about them. I don't think about them. They're trash. Jerry Jones is trash. They don't help me do anything for real. Okay, let's pull up the Jazz audio. How many? We got a couple minutes. Yeah, in order, I want to play Jazz at 70%. Then I want to play Boone talking about why he's not in the lineup. I don't know if I sent that to you. I think I sent the one with Volpe. I got to get the one with Jazz not being in the lineup. And then I want to play the one Jazz after the game Friday. Like, yeah, if you come to Yankee Stadium, you know, we got to show people why we're the Yankees or some shit like that. Yeah, I think this is a good time to just play that audio. So let me see if I can find Boone talking about why Jazz wasn't in the lineup. Okay, got it. Here's Boone on Jazz scheduled rest. Okay, so I just sent Boone talking about Jazz schedule rest, but let's in order play Jazz talking about playing at 70%, not 100. Then the next day, Boone saying why he's, on scheduled rest. And then we'll go back to like Jazz being a Yankee Stadium. And I'll talk about how he's like online talking about like trash talking, beefing with tonight's pitcher for the Red Sox. Yeah. And then him talking to Meredith after the game. CJ Alexander. Happy Sunday to you and yours, wherever you are. It's June and it got hot this week. The weekend's been a little cloudy, overcast, but it is what it is. We'll take it. Might not be exactly pool weather, but they're going to play some baseball. They'll play some baseball tonight in Yankee Stadium. But last night, the Yankees felt like they wanted to start this game without Jazz Chisholm Jr. against Garrett Crochet. We all know Garrett Crochet is a power lefty. This guy throws 100 miles an hour. He's got the sweeper. He's a good pitcher. But you know what? The Yankees got to him last night. And the Yankees got to him last night. And as I'm watching that game, of course, ball will find you. The ball skips right over Pablo Reyes' glove. And that game got out of hand. It started with the ball going over Belly's head and then everything that followed in that inning. But let's go back. Let's go back to Friday night, which, Jazz blew that game open with the 3-run bomb, had the place rocking. It was so much fun Friday at Yankee Stadium, because when you have that Friday night Red Sox-Yankees rivalry and that many people in there and the Yankees take that early lead, we can almost relax and like let the party really begin. So let's go back to Friday after that game. Jazz was one of the stars of the game. Jazz talked about, not playing at 100%, not playing, I guess, balls to the wall all out at 100%. Let's hear what Jazz had to say.
Yeah, you talk about what's been working for you since you got there, man.
70%. Just go at 70%. That's all. That's what's been working.
Like 7?
Yeah.
Why 7?
I don't know. It works. I don't know what to tell you. Play at 70%. Defense, offense, running, everything. Stay healthy. You don't overswing. You don't swing and miss as much. You're a great player at 70%.
So that's what you're saying. You're working smarter, not hard.
Yeah, we can say that. Yeah, like my coach Six said, he said 70%, I'm one of the best out there. At 100%, I might be dog crap. As we can tell, I'm taking 171 and 100%, so we're gonna take 70%.
Jazz is a fast car. He can't go at 100% because then you can't control that fast car. But if it's in his mind, 70%. I think he's locked in more. He's thinking more. He's focused on his at-bat more. He's focused on the ball coming to him. 70%. I try to eat until I'm 70% full, right? I'm trying to have a six-pack, trying to work on the dad bod. It usually gets up to 80%, but you don't want to eat to 100%. Then you got problems. Then you got bathroom problems, stomach problems, and then you got problems taking off your shirt at the pool. 70% is where I try to be at the table. So I can relate. But the next day, I'm like, why is he out of the lineup? Did it have anything to do? Eric Bolin reported there's no gray area on it. Jazz Chisholm Jr. has a scheduled off day. It's the only reason he's not in the lineup. It has zero to do with his 70% comments last night, which had nothing to do with effort or anything else those inclined to misrepresent them might want to make of them. So let's hear from Aaron Boone when Jazz wasn't in the lineup, game 2, looking to take the series from the Boston Red Sox. Go ahead and play that.
With Jazz, is this just an off day?
Yes. Yeah, this was kind of, planned from the start on when he came back Tuesday, knowing we're going to give him one as he built back up into the off day, and kind of made sense with the one left you were facing to give it today.
Okay. Schedule rest. I already talked about it. Jazz a week ago was with the Somerset Patriots. It's fine. They rest these guys. A 27-year-old sports car whatever. He needed a scheduled rest day after playing 4 games after being off a month, whatever. Now we get to tonight. You know, Jazz is online, and somebody brought this to my attention. Like, yo, what's Jazz on? What's he talking about? I'm like, I don't know. And then I looked into it. So Jazz Chisholm tweeted out at 107, I think there should be more trash talk in baseball. Anyone agrees? Anyway, free smoke at 7. And so Yankees Twitter, they're on it. They go to his Instagram, and he put out free smoke. And it's a quote card from John Boy Media and Talking Yanks and Talking Baseball that features Hunter Dobbins, tonight's rookie starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. And his quote I saw a few days ago, you may or may not have heard his quote. He said, if the Yankees were the last team to give me a contract, I'd retire. So Jazz is taking that personal. And Jazz he's full-blown Yankee baby. Let's hear what he said Friday night after the game about being the Yankees and being in Yankee Stadium.
Jazz, Walker Buehler was 1 strike away from getting out of that inning, but you had other ideas. Just take me through that at bat. What were you looking for there?
Honestly, I was looking for the slider again, and he threw the curveball, and I just fouled it off. And you know, last night I felt like I made an adjustment to off-speed pitches, and you know, I got it and I handled it.
What was that adjustment? What did you change?
I feel like I just trusted myself not to overswing 70%. And the ball still goes.
You mentioned over swinging. Yesterday when I talked to you in the clubhouse, you said down in the minors, it felt simple. It felt easy again. What did you mean by that? Was it part of the over swinging?
Yeah, you know, I felt like I got to the big leagues and I started over swinging, you know. In the minor leagues, I hit 280 and hit 30 homers a year, you know, 25 homers a year. So now I got to the big leagues. It shouldn't be a difference. We're still playing the same game. So why don't I take that approach that I had in the minor leagues to the big leagues, and it's working.
How meaningful has it been for you to have this immediate impact since coming off the IL?
It means everything. You know, like I always say, I just want to help my team win. So for me, just to come back and be able to help my team win, it means everything.
You enjoy challenging catchers with your legs out there on the base path?
Oh, yeah. I love to see who can throw me out. You know, I love going out there and running. You know, I see everybody else try to challenge our catchers, so we got to challenge theirs.
And you just look at the offense as a whole. How much of a boost
I didn't realize how long this.
first inning and then continue to tack on throughout the course of the night?
I mean, that's what we feel like we should do every time someone steps in our house. You know, we got to show them why we're the Yankees and why this is Yankee Stadium. You know, we got to go and we got to always put it on, and that's what we did tonight.
Okay, well, you better show them. The world will be watching Sunday Night Baseball, and I've got a conspiracy theory on the take, or a conspiracy theory and a take on the ratings and how we've set up again for another rubber match on Sunday Night Baseball. Keith McPherson on The Fan. Back right after this. ESPN. Okay. Got that set up. Yankees claim CJ Alexander, 28-year-old first baseman, bats left, throws righty. Looking at him now. Jazz 70%. Fair territory areas tomorrow. Oh, where is that other tweet I was looking for? Okay, after the Manny Machado homer. Okay, I got it. See in the chat here. Oh, the game's on picks today. Good call. Good looking. I'm watching Somerset Patriots versus Binghamton. Okay. Understood. Having a dad is a big part of fandom, and you know, a lot of people, it's bestowed upon them. You know, my dad's a Dolphins fan, but I didn't grow up with my dad, so I was free to make my own mistakes and decisions, and I'm glad. I wouldn't want to be no Dolphins fan. Like, think about what the Dolphins haven't won in the last 30 years. I think they have one playoff appearance, and they're like they don't have any playoff wins. Yeah. I mean, Keith McPherson's son, obviously going to be a Yankee fan. Yeah, people watch it. It's just name recognition. Cowboys haven't won in 30 years, but they're still relevant because of Jerry Jones, and they always have good players, and they win, but they don't win anything. They win games. Sure. 70s. That's the thing. There are so many Cowboys fans from the 70s, 90s, and it used to be just television. They were available to watch on television. You couldn't watch all the Denver Broncos games. You couldn't watch all the Baltimore Ravens. Like, you could see the Cowboys across the country, America's team. No, not tonight. So I'm going to get my conspiracy theory together here. In my conspiracy theory, ESPN has Sunday Night Baseball tonight and the NBA Finals on ABC. Now, if you remember, ESPN is dropping Sunday Night Baseball. Let's see. ESPN to drop Sunday Night Baseball. Agreed to end their national television contract after the season. It's been 35 years. Let me see here. MLB viewership is up. Game one of the NBA Finals averaged 8.91 million viewers. Okay. Hey, sauce it up. 3 o'clock now. 2 hours to go. Keith McPherson on the Fan, talking sports, taking calls, and I got to dive into a little conspiracy theory that, I mean, it's not crazy. It's just something I was thinking about. Being a pissed off fan and seeing the Yankees give up that Saturday day game to the Mets a couple weekends ago, and seeing the Yankees put out a lineup that fans say is a punt lineup or a Boone lineup last night, and then, you know, scoring all those runs off Garrett Crochet, where you feel like, well, man, damn, maybe if we had, you know, a better lineup and got a better effort out of the pitchers, whatever. But you give up that game and you set up a rubber match. You give up that game, and when you set up the rubber match, you're going to sell more tickets because you'll get Yankees fans and Boston Red Sox fans. That's how I felt with the Subway Series, specifically here in New York. I'm like, oh, the Met fan was out. I think a lot of Mets fans came to that Sunday night game more so than the Friday or Saturday game. Also, baseball is trending up. I know people act like baseball, like, you know, I was telling my wife, I was like, they've changed the rules. They've changed baseball so much. And we'll talk about the stadium sounds in a minute too. I know I've been talking about the sounds that play and how I got some questions answered, and now there's an article about it. We'll get to that too. But MLB viewership is trending up according to the boardroom post on Instagram that they put out a day ago, right? With stars like Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, Fox, ESPN, TBS have all seen double-digit ratings. ESPN is up 22% and is having its best season since 2017. Okay, if you remember correctly, ESPN and Major League Baseball agreed to end their national television contract after this season. There will be no Sunday Night Baseball in 2026. This is a 35-year deal that's done, right? ESPN exercised an opt-out clause in their 7-year, $550 million a year contract. Like, people are suspecting that Apple TV might try and take it, or even Amazon might try and take Sunday Night Baseball. So stay with me. Tonight, you have Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, Red Sox-Yankees rubber match. You're going to have Yankees and Red Sox fans watching, and then all of baseball watching, of course. And then anybody else who even cares about just the name value of Red Sox versus Yankees. Game 1, I was on for Thursday night of the NBA Finals. Game 2 is on tonight at 8 on ABC. Game 1 was the least watched finals opener in years. It's the least watched finals opener since Nielsen began tracking in 1988. It's two small market teams. It's Indiana, Oklahoma City. They averaged just 8.9 million views on ABC on Thursday. Now, I don't think Sunday Night Baseball is going to beat them out, but I think they're going to be able to get maybe close. I don't know, maybe half of that. And then that at least strikes up a conversation about, okay, the viewership in baseball versus the viewership in basketball. So I don't know. 8.9, if it's let's say it's 9 million for the finals tonight. Can Red Sox Dodgers, or can Red Sox Yankees be 4.5? Maybe. Yankees Dodgers peaked at 3.1 million. And that's different time zones. That's a different rivalry, a new rivalry. As I just said, the Dodgers are more of the Yankees rivals than the Mets. So let's see. Can Red Sox, Yankees tonight get upwards of 4 million, 4.5 million? I don't think so. But just a sneaky suspicion I had. I'm like, oh, setting up the rubber match again. ABC, ESPN has both Game 2 and Sunday Night Baseball. And maybe there's something at play here with trying to get more eyes on Sunday Night Baseball to rival the finals, which, like, they're not going to rival the finals, but even getting close, I'm sure there's going to be something written about those numbers as far as, like, baseball never coming close to the NBA Finals, and Sunday Night Baseball being on an hour before the NBA Finals, how many, viewers they peaked at and how many people they actually drew. Here's some other news before we get back to the phones at 888-808-1019. The Yankees claimed infielder CJ Alexander from the Athletics. He's 28 years old. He's a first baseman. He bats left, throws right. He's 6'4", 215. Still waiting for the Yankees lineup. Still taking calls on the Knicks. Still taking calls on Tom Thibodeau, but I do have some Yankee callers now. Let's go to Daniel and Yonkers on the fan. What's up, Dan?
Keith, my name is Daniel Napolitano, and this is my first time calling, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Yankees and how they should be winning against the Red Sox and not that blowout game yesterday.
Dan, thanks for making your first call to my show. They shouldn't lose to the Red Sox. They should sweep the Red Sox. And when you watch that game, it was super frustrating because there were plenty of moves that were made where you say, we could have taken this game, we could have taken this series.
Yeah, it's just going to be, at least I hope today or a few more days until Anthony Volpe comes back. But once he comes back, I think the Yankees will have a way better chance of beating these Red Sox or even the team after.
Are you a big Volpe fan? Volpe's your guy. You like Volpe?
Yes, I really like Volpe.
Yeah, I think he should be back in the lineup tonight, Daniel.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for holding. I'll say this. Volpe, I understand not being in the lineup. You give him a day. Just like you gave Dominguez some time with the swollen finger, the finger injury, perfectly fine. Volpe plays every day. He wore one. You got to give him a rest. So you put Peraza at shortstop. Peraza, I don't mind. He's been with the team. He's been playing. But out of nowhere, here comes Pablo Reyes, who just earlier in the week, I was like, where the hell has this guy been? Is he still around? He's still with the team hanging around, and he is, because he's a super utility guy. I think he's 31 years old. He's a veteran. But, he's a super utility guy that you don't want on the field. He had a good spring training. Spring training was 4 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Pablo Reyes in the lineup for what? Pablo Reyes in the field for what? I would actually think about Jazz's scheduled rest and be like, I don't know if this is the spot. How you feeling, Jazz? How you feeling? Every year there's got to be a whipping boy for the Yankees. You just heard young Daniel say he's a big Volpe guy. A lot of you were trying to turn Volpe into the whipping boy. Pablo Reyes is the whipping boy right now. This guy sucks. Why is he in the lineup? And like I said, you watch that ball skip over his glove, and you're like, where is Jazz? And, of course, Jazz enters the game late, but he enters the game cold, and they cooled him off. 2 strikeouts. His 2 at-bats, 2 strikeouts. So, I don't know. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here, man? I felt like, when Austin Wells got to Garrett Crochet, and even the fact that, Garrett Crochet gave up 5 runs, and you were able to score 7 runs, that's a game that if you played it a little differently with the lineup, and, of course, the bullpen as well. Yuri De Los Santos. I don't know how to feel about the guy, but, hey, he goes in there, gives you 3 innings. He holds. And then you go to Leiter Jr. for an inning, and he strikes everybody out. And then you just know with the bullpen budget and who pitched the day before and them not having an off day between the Guardian series and this series, you just knew where we were headed, right? Ian Hamilton. And when I see Ian Hamilton, I'm like, Ian Hamilton, I think we're still trying to find the Ian Hamilton that was there last year before the injury he had in the postseason. He's been okay this year, but not dominant. I don't know how much of a high leverage reliever he is. He didn't have it. He did not have it at all. So much so he didn't even pick his head up. All you saw was the top of his Yankee hat. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. And I would have taken him out. He faces the minimum, I'm taking him out. And so he ends up giving up 3 hits, 2 runs, and the Red Sox are able to tack on some insurance, and you knew it was wraps after that. But, who cares? Because I feel like the Yankees put together lineups, and they have decisions and lanes with their bullpen. This guy's going to pitch today. This is his lane today. We are scripting this, that when we get to this, it is him, and we're not going off of feel. We're not going off of urgency. We're not even going off the fact that, hey, we rallied back. Hey, DJ LeMahieu, who everybody said was washed and cooked, DJ LeMahieu is effective. DJ LeMahieu hit a ground ball to that kid Campbell, the rookie, and it froze him for some reason. He broke on it the wrong way. DJ LeMahieu, not for nothing, hitting in the middle of the order. We got to kind of pipe down about DJ. But yeah, I think that's I don't want to call it a scheduled loss, but you have scheduled rest and you make decisions with the bullpen that make you scratch your head. And I feel like the Yankees, they are fine losing regular season games like that. Didn't lose the series. We're going up against Garrett Crochet. The Red Sox are bums. They got to really beat us. If we can beat them with this group, what I feel like there's so many times you see that. That even goes back to years ago, my Mets take that so many Mets fans loved and enjoyed and repurposed online and called me up about. When I said the Subway Series didn't matter, it mattered so much more to the Met fan in 2022. I'm like, the Yankees do this. Even in 2024. I'm like, the Yankees do this. These regular season games that don't hurt them much, even though the Blue Jays are surging right now behind them in second place. I'm like, the Yankees do this, yo. They will say, okay, today is a day where I guess beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. They put it in the computer and they say, well, we got to rest Jazz. And, Volpe's out. So, let's put Pablo Reyes and Peraza on the left side of the infield. Don't those guys have some type of rapport? Yeah, sure. And, yeah, when we get late in the game, even when we rally to bring it, within one run, it's Ian Hamilton's day to take the ball. You know that, right? Ian Hamilton's got a pitch, and hopefully he finds it. Hopefully he turns the clock back to 2024. If he doesn't, we'll just go down swinging with that guy. 888-808-1019. John is in Maspeth on the Fan. What's up, John?
Hey, it's good, man.
Talking.
Talking baseball, right?
Yeah.
Mets fans, man, they're getting a little bit delusional, They're all on a high horse, beat the Dodgers in the season series. Now they're having a little field day with the Colorado Rockies, some double-A team Rockies out there. You gotta bring some reality into these Mets fans, It's like, listen, they faced Dustin May twice. They faced Tony Gonsolin twice. They faced a washed-up Kershaw twice. And they're not going to see any of those guys in the playoffs. They're going to see Snell. They're going to see Glasnow. They're going to see Yamamoto, who they somehow avoided in 7 games this year. And it's just, you got to get these guys up there high horse. You're going to have Ohtani pitching. You're going to have Saki there.
I rather do the opposite, John. That's where you and I differ. I rather give them respect. I'd rather blow their heads up.
So we ran Yamamoto out of there last week. We put him up for 4 runs in 3 2/3. We hit Crochet last night, 5 earned runs in 6 innings. Those are the pitchers that we'll be facing in the playoffs. Those top tier pitchers. We're not going to be facing these scrub pitchers like the Mets are and claiming victory and getting on our high horse and saying, we're the best team in baseball.
Hey, they're winning. Look at their record.
Facing
the schedule is the schedule. They face who they gotta face.
But dude, they played the Dodgers 7 games. They don't face Yamamoto once. That's like
some good luck. That's some good luck. Thanks for the call, John. I'm not there. I know some people want me to be there. I see Mets fans getting at Michael Kay. I know John has a bunch. It's cooled off for me. I actually turned a page. In June, I'm like, you know what? Love is love. Hate is hate. I'm going to let them hate. I'm going to let a hater hate. I'm not going to entertain it anymore. I'm not going back and forth with y'all, and I'm not looking for that. There were so many people that were hitting me up when Juan Soto homered off Kershaw or Juan Soto was I'm like, oh, wow. They think that like every waking hour of the day I'm on Juan Soto watch. I'm not. I was until the Subway Series because I was betting on him. I was until he came back to Yankee Stadium because I didn't know how he was going to perform. But I'm not watching Soto's every at-bat and worried about Juan Soto. Juan Soto is going to be Juan Soto. Leave me out of that.
Because most Mets fans think that all Yankee fans are like John. And they're just consumed with the Mets and consumed with Juan Soto. And John doesn't even care about the Yankees.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say something about the Yankees there.
The Yankees. Because he doesn't care. And listen, some fans are like that. They want to see the Mets die a painful death. That's okay. That's way it takes that when you're playing in the big leagues, okay? And now the Mets are in the big leagues. And now you have a team across town that your biggest star chose to go to. So I'm okay with that. But most Mets fans think that all Yankee fans are like that. And that's the difference.
There's millions and millions of Yankee fans. Like, I'm more worried about the Yankees lineup, and it just came out. So I'll give that to you right now. Leading off at DH, number 22, Ben Rice. Batting second, out in right field, number 99, Aaron Judge. Batting third in left field, number 35, Cody Bellinger. Batting cleanup at first base, number 48, Paul Goldschmidt. Batting fifth, yes, back to starting in the starting lineup, going 70%, repping your New York Yankees and talking trash online, Jazz Chisholm Jr. at third base, batting fifth. Oh, I guess he iced up and is feeling better. The young man is 24. He likes to play every day. He doesn't want to be out of the lineup. Yes, your shortstop, one of us, Anthony Volpe, batting sixth and playing shortstop, number 11, Anthony Volpe. Batting seventh, Trent Grisham in center field. Batting eighth, La Máquina, the machine, lives on, DJ LeMahieu at second base. And batting ninth, behind the plate, works well with Carlos Rodon, who's pitching tonight. It's JC Escara. 888-808-1019. I'm fine with that lineup. Let's bully. Let's roll. Carlos Rodon has been great. I don't know if we're giving him enough credit. I always hear people talk about, well, I don't think we realize what's going on with Aaron Judge. What are you talking about? Of course we do. But, like, do you realize Carlos Rodon was allowed to have a beard this year and we're getting the best version out of him, the best version of himself? There's so many stats that come out. There's so many things that we can point to with Rodon. Like, he came here fastball, slider, fastball, slider. Now he's pitching. He's got a curveball, a sinker, a changeup with the fastball slider. The biggest thing about Carlos Rodon, he has developed the ability to overcome. His shoes come untied, he's unfazed. It's raining a little bit, no big deal. Umpire calls a ball a strike, a ball, whatever it is, he's able to just keep it going. He's been so dialed and so locked in. It's a pleasure to see. When you don't have Garrett Cole, it is great to have the best version of Carlos Rodon. You paid him the big bucks to be this, and we are starting to see it for real now. And the world will get to see tonight on Sunday Night Baseball against the Red Sox. This is a big spot, right? You're trying to take the series. This is against a rival in your building on national television. What version of Carlos Rodon will we get? I expect to see the best version of Carlos Rodon. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Gary in Waterbury on the Fan. What's up, Gary?
Mr. the Cavalier.
Here. What up?
Yo, you won't be around next year. My rap's too severe, kicking Matt Slaver in your ear.
You know it. Saucing them.
Foo Philly, Foo Soto. And what grade do you give Aaron Boone? Everyone's dumping on Boone, but I give him a B, and I don't blame him for anything. The players play. He's not on the field. I still won't blame him.
It's not, I don't know what, I can't give him a grade yet, like a grade for the series, a grade for the start so far. Man, they've blown a lot of games. They've done, they play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They do a lot of head-scratching things, but you got to live with it as a Yankee fan. He just got an extension. This is his Yankees. It's like, and you know what? I don't think he does this on his own. I think that they meet and have plans and they talk through this stuff. And when they leave the meeting, they're like, yeah, we're good with this. Whatever happens, happens. And the fans are the ones like, yo, come on. Like, Jazz needs a rest day already. Pablo Reyes, I thought we were done with Pablo Reyes. Like, what? Ian Hamilton, at this point in the game, we're trying to rally back. So they are willing to die on their decisions. They die hard on their decisions.
I'm going to be real upset if we lose this series tonight. I'm going to be upset.
Can't happen.
I definitely am. Cannot happen.
How about we put some spotlight on Aaron Judge? Like, Judge, we need you, bro, tonight. And I know Judge has been masterful all world, but last night Judge was 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. Even Goldie 0 for 5 with 3 Ks. Bounce back. Dominguez 0 for 4 with 3 Ks.
Yeah, no, it's about the players. That's why I'm not going to put it on Boone. It's about the players. And the number one need at the deadline, it's got to be bullpen. Because they're going to keep Jazz at third, and they're going to force LeMahieu. If he even bats 200, he's getting force fed.
Oh yeah,
he's going to be at third, so that kind of eliminates that. So it's got to be bullpen right now at the deadline.
Yeah, and Cashman said so much. Thanks for the call, Gary. He said pitching. They're going to improve the bullpen. It's going to be a strength. Weaver will come back. Guys are working their way back like the JT Brubaker, Scott Effross, Jake Cousins of the world. You do have Loaizaga. You do have Fernando Cruz. That's another thing. Like, Fernando Cruz, I think he threw like single-digit pitches on Friday. Even Devin Williams, who was great. Like, let me go back to Friday's box score. Fernando Cruz threw 9 pitches. Loaizaga threw 10 pitches. Devin Williams threw 14 pitches. But that's it. That's their day to throw. Those are 3 guys that I would have rather seen in a high leverage spot. It is what it is. It was Ian Hamilton's time to come out, and I had no confidence in him. It was Ian Hamilton's time to pitch, and it's like, this guy, he looked weird on the mound, bro. It looked like, I know he wears his hat a certain way, but it's like, this guy looks like he'd rather be anywhere else than in this spot. This guy has nothing right now. And once he faced the minimum, I would have got him. He walked former Yankee Carlos Narvaez. as I go back to talking about how the Yankees will put lineups out against the Mets or anybody and sometimes concede a loss, it feels like. Carlos Narvaez was the guy in the Subway Series last year that it was like him, Jahmai Jones, J.D. Davis all in the same lineup, not trying to win. But yeah, he just throws sinker, slider, and they're like 88 miles an hour. I think his sinker can get up to 90. He just looked like he was trying to just get the ball in the zone after walking the first batter, and they small balled him. You know, Marcelo Mayer, that he comes in to pinch hit. You know, Alex Cora playing a chess game. Oh, here you go. You ready to face this kid? This guy just debuted, hit a homer the day before. This guy's making his debut. He's got some moxie about him. And Abraham Toro single. And like, right, I would have taken him out then. You face him, and then Trevor Story. He lets Trevor Story cash it. So that's it. Once Trevor Story singled and they added those 2 runs, like you gave the game away. And you were okay with that. You're like, whatever, we'll be back tomorrow to win the rubber match. Better win. 888-808-1019. I'm running out of time. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Call us up. We'll be right back. All right. Never even heard of that pitcher. He's gonna get smoked. We always win series in San. Yeah, he might have a rough night tonight. They might really come out looking to jump on him early. So he better have it. I might line up some of the bets for tonight. Sure. Paul Skeens is fun to watch. They need to release that man, free that man, trade him to a contender, the Yankees or the Mets. Prime broadcasts are so bad sometimes, quality-wise, I don't prefer it. Yeah, I watched the Fox game last night with the sound off because Smoltz is whack. He won. He's a pitcher. He stays healthy, he's going to dominate. All right, and if he can get out of Pittsburgh, because they're not going to turn into a contender. Sure. I don't know if NBC is, they got the NBA. I don't know if they're making a play for baseball. Not going to see Reyes dazzle at third and catch those hot corner shots. You're not. I knew we were going to have issues with him at third and Yarby on. Yeah, it was whack. I'm like, bro, we're taking an L. But like we knew we were taking an L. We came into that game prepared to take an L. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I just told him, like, I didn't have the time to. It's not the time to troll the Mets. They're winning. They're playing who they got to play, and they've got a nice little lead on their division, and it is what it is. People like to troll, but it's like you got to, like, that's the thing about trolling. My trolling is always timed. It is perfectly timed. Like, that's why it works. You can't troll every day. There's nothing to troll the Mets about right now. The level of their opponents, the level of the pitchers they're facing, feeling good about yourself is always going to boost everything. Beard Rodon is confidence. Yep. Good first inning for McGill. I got it on here. I'm not really watching. Yeah, Smoltz sucks. I seen his bitch ass. I seen him. I didn't even pull up on him Because you can hear the hater in his voice. And I get it. He's a Yankee hater. All right, let me see what else I didn't cover here. Yeah, left Yarby in, mad long. I feel like they took that loss. Like, it is what it is, yo. And I'm back quickly here. Your nighttime host, Keith McPherson, on the Fan. A little bit after 3:30, we call this a little Sunday sauce. It's sauce, not gravy. Just saucing it up, man. It can't be a KM to AM. KM to AM is like a nighttime show where we start at night and we go into the morning, and that's cool and all, but these are cool too. I like being on during the day. It's just a different vibe. We got the Met game on right now. So far, all right. You know, Tyler McGill, we're in the second inning. Jeff McNeil gets a hold of one. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Jeff McNeil with a solo shot to put the Mets on the board, top of the second. Another homer. They had 3 homers last night with Clay Holmes on the mound dominating. I can't hate on the Mets right now. And I'm good at hating on the Mets. I'll let y'all know when it's time. Like I just said to John and Maspeth who called, you know, he's talking about the quality of opponent that the Mets are beating and the pitchers that they're facing. Yeah, but they're beating them. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They have the best record in the National League. Their lead is increasing in the National League East. Like, the Braves are falling apart. It's really just them and the Phillies. Like, you can, like, I don't know. You got to just give credit where credit is due. And what I said to him just now on Twitter, I was like, bro, they said we had a cakewalk to the World Series. And I had to defend that. Like, you play who you play. You play who you play. You know, the Yankees had a cakewalk to the World Series. To me, is like that's not valid. I guess because they played the Central or whatever. But, like, they had to go through good teams. Maybe not the best of the best, but it's like, okay. It's baseball. Anything can happen out there. As Ronnie Mauricio continues now with a little base knock. Not 456 feet, but big dude's on first doing the wheels on the bus uppercut, Selly. And the Mets are off and running, looking to sweep. And that's what you got to do. Finish your food. Sweep them so we know that it's real. This is one of the best teams. Or this is literally the best team in the National League, the worst team. Don't let them get a game off of you. They didn't get one in Citi Field. Don't let them get one from you here. So got eyes on that. Still haven't gotten into the NCAA talk, and I will. I think I'll do that before I get out of here. And coming up after me is an NBA Finals show. So I guess we'll start to bring back some of the NBA conversation as well in the next 90 minutes before I do leave. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I want to take this call because it's in regards to something I was speaking on before with Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN and Game 2 of the finals on ABC. You know, they've got both. Let's see what the ratings look like tonight. Like, they shouldn't be close at all. But if they're even a little bit close, like it says something. Matt is in Greenbrook, New Jersey on the Fan. What's up, Matt?
And first-time caller.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I'm the only one that is noticing like, it appears that there's juice baseball in certain series.
No, you're not the only one.
It's crazy. Going back to
the Yankees Boston Red Sox out in the UK when they had 18 home runs in 3 games?
I was there.
Insane. Yeah, you were there. It doesn't sound the same coming off the bat. MLB owns the company that makes the baseball.
Yeah, they bought Rawlings, and as soon as they did that, it was like, this is fishy.
Yeah, and with the amount of money that's going through betting and stuff like that, something should be looked into. I mean, it's just my opinion, but I thought I was the only one that's noticed in the baseball.
No, we felt like they had the juice balls Friday in LA. Thanks for the call, Matt. I know people were tweeting about, they got the juice balls out for Yankees Dodgers in LA. You know, Judge homered, Ohtani homered, Max Muncy homered, Trent Grisham homered. And I'm like, maybe. I felt like they had the juice balls for Field of Dreams. You know, why not? Why not roll them out once in a while? We were getting into a back and forth. I forget a couple of shows ago when I was talking about Pete Alonso. I had a caller say that, you know, like it took Judge a while to get here, and his first 5 years or something like that weren't like this. And I'm like, Judge was always Judge. I'm like, we forget that Judge burst on the scene, should have won MVP as a rookie. Altuve was cheating. They gave it to Altuve. He broke the rookie home run record, but then it got broken 2 years later by Pete Alonso in the juice ball year. And I had a caller like, what do you mean? What are you trying to say? Like Pete Alonso's home run record isn't valid? I'm like, no, I'm just saying he did it in the juice ball year. So maybe that helped a little bit. He only beat it by 1. He's like, well, didn't Judge have juice balls in 2022 breaking the American League home run record? I'm like, no, 2022 is not 2019. And then also, we're talking about a record that stood for 60 plus years versus a record that stood for a year. Anyway, we'll never know. We'll never know. But it is odd and peculiar that Major League Baseball bought Rawlings. And we saw like Gardy have a powder. We saw Gardy have a power surge that year with the juice balls. And now we suspect anytime the ball is flying out, anytime there's a big series, whether it's Field of Dreams, whether it's Red Sox, Yankees, whether it's Dodgers, Yankees, we're like, they got the juice balls. Maybe they roll a couple of them in there. Maybe they're not the full batch. Maybe there's only a few in there. I wouldn't put it past the game of shadows, the League of Shadows. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. They're always doing something, right? It goes back to my thing with tonight. I'm like, let's see, right? And I know the Yankees aren't giving up a game to create a rubber match, but I'm sitting there yesterday. I'm like, this shouldn't have been the lineup. Why am I watching Pablo Reyes? Let Yarby go too long. Then we go to Leiter, and then we have to go to Ian Hamilton once we come back. And I'm like, we're still in this game with De Los Santos, and we got to go to Ian Hamilton here. Well, I'm like, yeah, because they're going to sell more tickets to Sunday Night Baseball. There's going to be more people watching Sunday Night Baseball with a rubber match versus a potential sweep. Let's see how many people are watching Game 2 of the finals now. I expect that number to tick up. If you weren't watching Game 1 on Thursday with 8.9 million viewers, it'll probably be over 10 tonight, because now everybody wants to know, wait, are the Pacers for real? Are the Pacers going to go up 2-0 and take this series like they did to the Knicks? Keith is in New Jersey on the Fan. What's up, Keith? Come on, Keith. All right, well, Keith is on hold. Bobby's been holding for a while. I got to get to Bobby out on Long Island. What's up, Bobby? You're on the Fan. I don't know if this is the phone. That's 0 for 2. Let's see if this guy is there. I know he knows what to do. Justin in Floral Park. His phone's working just fine.
Keith, what's going on, brother?
Hanging out. I don't know. We had 2 other callers that I was trying to get to for a while, bringing it back to the NBA and the Knick conversation, and it lands on you.
Knicks. I'll bring up the Knicks. A little Sunday, a little sports day. I like that theme, Knicks.
Yes, sir.
Now that Jason Kidd's not happening, okay, that's a definite. I mean, it looks like it's between Malone and that Johnny guy. I mean, Keith, were the Knicks thinking that they were getting Jason Kidd? Because, like, I don't think those guys are much of an upgrade over Kidd. I'm sorry, I don't Malone won a championship with Denver.
No, I can't think that there was a plan devised weeks ago in exit meetings where they're saying Jason Kidd is the guy. I think this is just what's come up now because there's no plan. I think their plan was we got to move on from Tom Thibodeau. He ain't it. He ain't going to lead us to the promised land.
But see, like, this also happened, and I know you're not a big hockey guy, but this happened with the Rangers with Tortorella. Okay, Lundqvist didn't like Tortorella, and Tortorella was gone, but they had a plan. They had Alain Vigneault, who had a very good resume and led the Rangers to the Stanley Cup the next year. Okay, these guys, I don't think whoever they bring in here is going to lead the Knicks to the NBA Finals, unless there's a major blow-up. And I think the Knicks thought if we get Jason Kidd, then that leads us to get Giannis and possibly Durant. I don't think you're not going to get anybody here, and it's not going to change the core. The core is going to stay the same, and the same thing's going to happen. Karl Anthony Towns is going to make terrible fouls. Okay, Bridges is going to make, listen, he's going to be a terrible regular season player because of in the playoffs. Brunson's going to keep dribbling forever. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. They got their work cut out for them. I think they would have been better suited keeping the coach and working on making a better bench. Now you got to make a better bench. You probably got to make another trade and find the guy to be the leader of the franchise, which is not that easy to do.
No. And then as far as the Yankees go, Keith, they are winning this series tonight. I don't know if you saw with that pitcher.
We don't
when he
leave
first got
Boone alone.
drafted, he goes, I'd rather be homeless than pitch for the Yankees. So this guy that's on the mound tonight, the real class back, hopefully bash him around because he's a big chirper on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen those tweets this guy put out there a while back.
No, but yeah, I see they're surfing, they're surfacing, and like Jazz kind of leaned into it.
He's Down and Down on HBO.
Yeah, he's a Kenny Powers looking type of cat, huh?
Of course, dude. So Keith, enjoy the weekend, and we're taking the Red Sox, and we'll move on to next series. Have a good one, bro.
Thanks for the call, Justin. 888-808-1019. Yeah, Hunter Dobbins. I mean, it's a good way to get your name out there before Sunday Night Baseball, but now you got to face this Yankees lineup. I might have to get on the handy-dandy FanDuel app. This guy said he'd rather retire than play for the Yankees. The Yankees aren't checking for you, bro. That's what always cracks me up when these players say they rather retire than play for the Yankees. The Yankees aren't looking for you like the Yankees were the last team. He said, whoever I was playing with or whoever I would have been drafted by, I'd still hate the Yankees. I'm hoping I hit a career high in velo. Okay. Throw it hard. It's gonna leave a lot harder. Yeah, this is gonna be a good one tonight because they're gonna try and embarrass this kid. Like Jazz is already talking about it, and I read you the lineup, and yeah, Sunday Night Baseball coming up. More Sunday sauce coming up. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I got to take a break. We'll be right back. Let me see. I'll be right back. But yeah, I don't understand the leave Boone alone. I'm not ragging on all Yanks fans or Yuki. Just when a caller says they're tooting our horn like we're invisible, we have flaws like every other team. Yeah, the Yankees are the Yankees, and they're not almighty, and they haven't won a World Series since I was in college, and like yeah, that's everywhere. That's everywhere. Otani is everything. It's I know it's I before E in the rule, but it's K-E. Like K-E. And no, I don't want to manage the Yankees. I get paid to talk about it on the radio with fans who want to know why Jazz wasn't in the lineup, want to know why Pablo Reyes is still on the team, why they let Yarby die out there, why they held with Santos and Leiter and then chose to die with Ian Hamilton out there. It's just like, I wouldn't have done that. So, let me hit y'all with a, question for the chat. What happened in sports today? And I'll be right back. Where are my keys so I don't get locked out? Oh. And I've returned. Yeah. Saturday, 4 to 7. Okay, quickly here, let me get in a couple Knicks calls, and then once we get into the 4 o'clock hour, Yankees talk, Yankees calls, and pushing us forward to Sunday Night Baseball. This is Keith McPherson on The Fan, not a KM to AM. I've branded my Sunday show as Sunday Sauce. I feel like everybody calls Sunday Fun Day, it's anything on Sunday Fun Day. But I don't know, the Sunday Sauce thing came to me a while ago, and we've been running with it. Shout out to the good folks at WFAN for putting me on Sunday during the day and getting an opportunity to connect with a little bit of a different audience than we have at night. And there's still plenty to talk about and still a lot happening. Overall, I feel like the vibes are good. I mean, the vibes around the Knicks are a little bit questionable, but still good, right? Because there is some optimism. There's worry whenever there's change. There is just a natural fear of the unknown. But, what if the next coach is the coach to bring you to the promised land? What if the next coach is the coach that actually gets you to a championship? That's what you've done this for in firing Tom Thibodeau. That's what you've moved on for, the search for, okay, this guy did a lot to bring us back here. Now we're here. We've got to get to the mountaintop, singularly focused on winning a championship. Okay, Bobby came back. Bobby out on Long Island. Let's see if he's there now. What's up, Bobby? Okay, go for it.
Okay, yeah, I've been a fan since 1955. I used to go to the 69th Street Regiment Armory. We were friends with John Condon. I actually used to sit on the end of the Knick bench, which was a terrible seat because when the players leaned over, you couldn't see the other side of the court. But I want to talk about something that no one discusses. Bibbs Thibodeau isn't a winner. Look, in Chicago, he only had D Rose healthy for two years in the playoffs of the 5. 1 year they lost to LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, and the other year they lost to LeBron and Kyrie. So people want to call him a loser? I don't really think that makes you a loser. Also, this year we talk about our bench. People say our bench wasn't bad, he should play the bench. Well, if you took Shamet, Payne, and Wright and put them on Indiana or Oklahoma, would they even play a minute? So we're talking about guys putting in, are they really good players? Or are they guys that really just fit in under the cap, and that's why they went to the team and not because of ability?
Great points, Bobby. Thanks for calling back. I know I was on here saying Shamet was out of the league. He signed with the Westchester Knicks. And DeLon Wright is a journeyman. This is where we've gotten to, that the Garden is chanting Landry, Shamet. No. We got to do better. But somebody's got to take the fall. Somebody's got to be the guy to be held responsible and accountable for it. And that's what happens with coaches. Now, the next part is on the owner and the GM and everybody else making decisions in there. You moved away from this guy, right, who I think the narratives came to play, and the whole thing, going back to what Bobby said about, oh, this guy could never win the championship. He could never get you over a hump. He couldn't do it with the Bulls. He couldn't do it with the Timberwolves. Now he can't do it with the Knicks. Okay, I feel like those voices got loud. It's not so easy to just win a championship. He has won everywhere he's been. He is a culture builder. And now the culture that he built, somebody else has to come in there and grab a hold of that. And that's not so easy to do. Brad is in Cedarhurst on The Fan. Go for it, Brad.
Hey, man. What's up? First time, long time.
Good. Thanks for calling.
Okay, so I don't know why everyone is so, making tapes into the, Riley. I mean, the guy, I'm not sitting here and saying that the guy hasn't done good stuff for the Knicks in terms of getting them back on the map. But at the end of the day, truthfully, he has these players, the Brunsons of the world, the Cats of the world, and he preaches deep. But yet, when the game's on the line, he forgets how to play it. There were things in this playoff series that the Knicks, truthfully, as a Knicks fan for over 40 years, lucky that the Knicks even got by Detroit, if you want the honest truth. Game 5, he leaves his best players on the sidelines when he had 1 timeout left and doesn't bring them back in the game. Cost them Game 5. Could have also cost them Game 6 if Brunson didn't come through and hit that 3 at the end to possibly force a Game 7. He leaves Robinson on the court when Carlisle completely outcoached him and kept hacking him over and over the fact they had free throws and the light depended on it. You know, there are a lot of plays that, in my mind, I don't know why he didn't decide to put Brunson from day one as the shooting guard. And why don't we start, Deuce at the starting point guard and use Brunson as the off guard and maybe play Kolek, who you drafted. He's supposed to be good. Try him as the backup point guard. It's the fact that we can sit here all day and go through Samet and the Delon Wright for the world, and that's true that they're journeymen, they're not good, etc. But he played his team into the ground, and that's part of the reason why the Knicks, unfortunately, are where they are. And for the year, I think this came to nobody in their right mind thought the Knicks were going to beat the Celtics. And when the Knicks wound up beating the Celtics in dramatic fashion, as we all know, games 1, 2, etc., and wound up winning it, I think everyone in their right mind thought the Knicks were beating the Pacers. Not taking anything away from the Pacers, but when they choked in Game 1 and wound up losing the series, I'm sorry, that comes down to coaching. You have
We're gonna break out to this.
the entire series and the entire season at the wing. He's a great 3-point shooter for a big man. But why is he coaching him to be in the low box? You know, these are things that is on kids. And truthfully, when he was in Chicago, Minnesota, he never came through. And Game 6 against the Pacers, decisive game. You just came off an overwhelming Game 5 win at home. You go to Indiana, you show up for a half, and you forget how to play in the second half. That's on kids. It's not the players. You know, like these are things that, in my mind, kids deserve to be on the edge. This is in Minnesota.
Thanks for the call, Brad. Good. I mean, it's easy to dump on the guy now that he's fired, right? It's easy to pile on and count up all his mistakes and what he didn't do and say that he should have played Tyler Kolek. You're going to be dumping potentially on the next guy the same way. 888-808-1019. What if the next guy can't fix this thing? What if he doesn't have the roster? What if he doesn't have the buy-in from the roster? Who knows who's going to emerge in this NBA? The goal is to win a championship. Now the Knicks, who for years the bar was never set as high for them as it was the rest of these teams like the Yankees. I have friends that are Yankee fan, Knicks fans. The Yankees got to win the World Series. The Knicks just got to win a couple games. No, now the Knicks are expected to win the NBA Finals. They're expected to win the championship. And it's a lot easier than said than done. And, like, you can't take a step back either. Making the playoffs and losing in the first round, losing in the second round, not good enough. Even making the Eastern Conference, it's not good enough now. It would have been safer to stay with this guy, Tom Thibodeau, and say, all right, we'll get him a better team and we'll hope that he evolves. They've got their work cut out for him. The end. No more Knicks calls. I'm sure we're going to continue all week on the fan because the rest of our hosts got to weigh in on all the things that have come out around Jason Kidd or Dolan or where we are now with this. We're all waiting. That's the thing. We're all waiting to see who is this guy? Who's this knight in shining armor that's going to come through and save the Knicks and actually get them over the hump? And if they don't, forever, we're going to look at, hey, you had a guy. You had a guy that was working on getting you there. And maybe you cut him short before he could actually get it done. Let's talk about the Yanks. They got to get it done. They're in the World Series last year. We expect them to get back to the World Series this year. I expect them not to lose to the Red Sox tonight. I expect them to hop all over this guy. Pause. I expect them to jump all over this guy. Hey, yo, I expect them to give this Dobbins guy a rough time. I expect the Yankees to smoke the Red Sox tonight in front of the world on the rubber match. We'll talk about it. Keep McPherson on the fan. Dial up 888-808-1019. Sunday Sauce returns right after this. Let's see what the parlay's hitting for. All right, let's see. Pitcher props. Rodon's prop is at 7.5 for strikeouts. If he stays in the game, I think he gets there. Batter props. Let's see, like, to hit a home run. Anybody over 500, that JC Scar is plus 770. Volpe is plus 830. They're figuring he's hurt. DJ is plus 1,000. Paul Goldschmidt is plus 600. Trent Grisham is plus 480. Those are good numbers for those guys. Judge is plus 200 and he's due. Ben Rice is plus 420 and he's due. Yeah, I might have to check on this later. Let's see. Total bases. Let's see, like 3 total bases where we're at. 3 total bases. Volpe is 360, Grisham 330, Jazz is 290, Goldie is 270. Let's see 2 total bases. Who are we getting plus money for 2? Almost everybody. Cody Bellinger plus 110, Goldie plus 120. Yeah, we might have to see what the parlay is hitting for, bro. Let's see. First homer available. First homer. McGill struggling. Interesting. Judge grants final approval to House versus NCAA settlement. Schools are now free to begin paying their athletes directly, marking the dawn of a new era in college sports brought about by a multi-billion-dollar legal settlement that was formally approved Friday. We knew at some point it would happen, right? College athletes getting paid. Among major league pitchers, Rodon leads the majors in opponents' batting average, ranks 3rd in opponents' slug, 4th in opponents' on-base percentage. Strikeout rate, he's 2nd in the American League. 7-0 with a 1.27 ERA over his last 9 starts. 70 Ks. 7-game winning streak. All right, Mike, what else did I not talk about with the Yanks? I don't think this NCAA stuff's going to move the needle. I'll do this Yankee Stadium Sounds article right now. Yeah, all good. Yeah, it's fine. Not much sauce left. Last hour I've got on the fan at 8. And I mean, next Sunday is Father's Day. I don't know if I can sauce y'all up on Father's Day. I got to be at the crib, most likely. Keith McPherson on the fan taking calls. I said no more Knicks calls. Yeah, just kidding. As if we could do that. But I do want to talk about the Yankees and something that I was talking about last week. And now there's an actual article on it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it was basically echoing everything that I said. Bob Klapisch wrote an article. And the headline is, yes, it's much louder inside Yankee Stadium. Here's what Aaron Judge and teammates say. Now, let me scroll down because I basically told you guys all this in my own words, and I did some digging on my own to get the information. And, you know, some quotes in there. Times have changed, said Jason Zillow, the Yankees vice president of communications and media relations. We're trying to meet our young fans where they are. There's an elaborate speaker set up in the ballpark. We didn't install it to play Phil Collins elevator music. So I talked about how, as a fan sitting in there, I don't need the 4 to 5 seconds of a song, a tease of a song between pitches. I understand what it does. I understand I'm also getting older as a fan. Like, people are in there on their phones. People are preoccupied. People, I don't know. It is what it is. And I get it. Like, even as I was watching the game last night, I was pointing to my wife because they kept going in from, you know, the batter's eye, like center field, master pass, batter's eye. I'm like, look at all these people in center field just drinking and socializing. They can't see the game. They're not even looking at the game. I'm like, it's a huge outdoor bar. And there's young people that are there to get their TikToks and all this other stuff going on. And I think the added sound is just a way to get people's attention. So at 90 decibels and above is where human damage begins, bioacoustic expert Bernie Cross said in an interview. It's loud, but I don't know if it's like that loud. During the recent Subway Series, the decibel levels at the stadium hit the mid-90s. There's also more in this article about, let's see, not a single member of the organization objects to the trend. That's what I told you guys, that like, hey, they've been doing this in the NBA. The players like it. And here's the quotes on it. So from Aaron Judge, to be honest, it's still not as loud as the players would like it. For me, the more music, the louder it is, the better. From Aaron Boone, it's about time baseball caught up with the NBA. I love what's going on now with the sound effects. Should have happened 2-3 years ago. So what I told y'all was, like, from what I heard, you know, when you go to NBA games, you get those instrumental hip hop beats played every possession for, you know, 24 seconds of a shot clock less, right? Now with a pitch clock and the time in between, you're getting like 4 to 5 seconds of a tease of a beat. It'll be like, I can make your hands clap. And that's it. You'll hear like little snippets. You guys will hear it tonight going into the game. You probably already heard it. You know what I'm talking about. So, you know, Bob Klapisch did the work to ask about it and got the answers. The players like it. The organization wants it. It's something that's here to stay. Boone isn't wrong with the comparison to the NBA, which has taken the idea of constant sound even further than MLB. In quotes, when I go see the Knicks at the Garden, they're playing music even while they're bringing the ball up the court, said Judge. if you don't do that, everyone starts looking at their phones or they stop paying attention. Music is a good way to perk everyone up. So like I said, it is a way to just kind of snap people back into it. You also notice the Yankees do when, you know, when there's a call to the bullpen for another team, they do that like broadcasting TV alert system sound. They like black the lights out. When Luke Weaver comes in, well, he hasn't come in because he's on the IL. They do the whole Star Wars thing. It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. So let's see. Not to say everyone is crazy about the trend. The hardcore fans, for example, say they don't need wall-to-wall computer-generated stimulus. They're the ones who believe the Yankees have gone a bit overboard. So say the bleacher creatures, who are arguably the Bombers' most loyal followers. They've been doing their famed first inning roll call since 1997, but chanting each Yankees name one by one and having the players respond with a wave or a bow can only happen if the creatures are heard. But for the first time in nearly 7 years, the diehards in Section 203 were drowned out by the ballpark's piped-in noise. Shout out to Mark, who was quoted in this article. He said, I want to say this respectfully because it's like asking a friend to turn down the music. But during the Mets series, we couldn't call out Bellinger's name. Vivas couldn't hear us. Dominguez couldn't hear us either. That's never happened, even during the World Series. So, like, I remember getting on telling you guys, I'm like, it was so loud in there with the music and the fans. It's like the players couldn't even hear it. I remember saying Vivas, a whole rookie. I don't even think he knew what to do or was even thinking about it. But, yeah, it's super loud in there. So, bring your earplugs. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan. We'll take these Yankee calls, and then I'm sure we're going to close out talking about the Knicks, which is fine because we're leading into an NBA Finals show. And I think the Knicks fan is going to be watching this game. I mean, I'm sure you'll be watching Sunday Night Baseball if you're a Yankee fan, but I think the Knicks fans are watching tonight hoping that the Thunder bounce back. Or maybe some of you feel like, hey, if the Pacers do win the championship, we lost to the champs. Dominic is in East Rochester on the Fan first. What's up, Dom?
How are you, Mike?
Hey, it's been a while, Dom. How are you?
It is. Hey, listen, by the way, speaking of Father's Day coming up, don't tell me that little man that's invaded your home has already had a birthday, has he?
His birthday was April 13th. So he's 2 now, and he's like 3 now, though. He walks, he talks, he does everything. And like, he's harder to pick up and contain and control. And yeah, he's a kid. He's not even a baby anymore.
Did I tell you it was going to go fast?
Super fast. I don't feel like I've changed much, but he has completely changed.
That's the way it goes, my friend. God bless.
Thank you.
By the way, my friend on the other side of the glass, I said, I wanted to talk about the Yankees. And he says, well, don't you want to talk about the Browns quarterbacks?
No.
I don't have enough time to talk about the Browns quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's a whole mess itself. All 5 of them, including Deshaun Watson.
Keith, I do want to talk about the Yankee rivalry business, but you just were talking about the noise, between pitches, whatever. I'll tell you, I listened to the games, and boy, I miss John, by the way. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the other guy, but I miss John.
Everybody does. I respect Dave Sims, but, I had John on my show last week, and I can't tell you how many calls I've taken about how many people miss John's just style and approach. And that's why he's 101.
Well, yeah, and that's part of it. First of all, the noise is brutal on the radio. It's brutal. But the other thing is with the pitch clock, even with John, the stories in between pitches have been, non-existent anymore. Plus, they can't really talk in between pitches because you got all this noise.
And they have ad reads and stuff to do. Yeah.
On the rivalries, they were bombarding Emmanuel yesterday on his show. I know you can't listen to the radio 24/7. And, the Mets fans are saying the Yankees' top rival is the Mets. Listen, Keith, I'm 70-plus years a Yankee fan. The number one rivalry in sports is the Yankees and the Red Sox. And part of that, Keith, is brought about by the fact that there's been fisticuffs over the years. Keith, call me crazy, but the rivalry with the Mets could have actually intensified if when Clemens threw the bat at Piazza, if Piazza had charged the mound like he should have,
Yeah.
could have had a whole different situation. You know, the Yankee Red Sox rivalry, Keith.
It's just the Red Sox fan isn't seeking validation from the Yankee fan. The Met fan is. The Met fan wants the Yankee fan to bend the knee and say, "You've arrived. We see you. Yes, we think about you all the time. We want to beat you." When it's just not like the Yankees' resume and history. The Mets will never catch. It's just not a thing. It's a thing for a little bit of time with Juan Soto, and that's why I said it was more of a getting back at Juan Soto and showing Juan Soto he made the wrong decision. It's not a Met Yankee thing. Like if we get to a Subway Series, so be it. But they're in the National League, and we just look at them like they're punching up. We're not thinking about you like that. We got bigger fish to fry.
And listen, Keith, like you said earlier, the Mets are playing terrific. They have a terrific, record going and so forth. They got Soto.
Yeah.
I would rather. Soto's going to be a hell of a player for him. You know that. We know that. Don't worry about it. If we had signed Soto, we would not have the guys that we currently have. And Keith, it's a rhetorical question, but if we had Soto instead of Plan B, would our record be as good as it is right
No. We wouldn't have Max Fried. We wouldn't have Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt. We have no way to tell. Our defense wouldn't be better because he'd be in right field. Thanks for the call, Dom. The Mets are up 5-0 right now, about to sweep the Colorado Rockies, and I gave them credit. Like, I don't care who you play. You go out there and you play who's in front of you. Great. But it's like, enjoy your success without the Yankees, right? We got our pound of flesh with Juan Soto coming back to Yankee Stadium and not doing anything. But like a week later, we don't care what he's doing against the Dodgers. We don't care what he does against the Rockies. Enjoy it. We don't care. We don't care. We're trying to win the World Series. We're trying to beat the American League. We're trying to be the best team coming out of the AL. If the Yankees get back to the World Series and it's the Mets that meet them, so be it. This city would be insane, and you will see like a rivalry then. But I don't have conversations often about like the Met-Yankee rivalry or the Subway Series. I think Major League Baseball tried to make it a thing with their rivalry weekend. Like, oh, let's make it, even they made it Phillies versus Pirates. And, they tried to create something there. It's just, I think what it is, it's the Met fan saying, we've got the owner now. Remember we said our owner is the new George Steinbrenner? Oh, we've got good players too. We've got Lindor, Alonso. We took Soto from you. Acknowledge us. We're your rivals now. Yep, it's us. We're your biggest rivals now. Not really, little bro. Like, we're the big homies. You're not gonna ever be big homie. To be big homie, you have to consistently win. We see you though. Like, we'll give you that. Like, congrats on beating up on the Rockies. Congrats on splitting with the Dodgers. You should have swept them, but you split, and you did go in there, and it was impressive. But like, we're not worried about the Mets as a rival. You can't be in the National League anyway.
Yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength when it comes to the Met Yankee thing. We're each should be our own leagues, our own divisions, whatever the case may be. But just bringing up the point of your focus on winning. And the other thing is Yankees haven't won anything in like 15 years. Getting to the World Series means nothing. Just like the Mets got to the NLCS last year, it meant nothing, right?
I disagree, but go on.
Well, you say it all the time. The bar is winning chips. That is the absolute bar that the Yankees fans, organization, the bar is winning a championship, and they haven't done that since 2009. So that is the bar. For Mets fans, the bar changed, obviously, since Steve Cohen bought the team and since players actually want to come to Queens. Say it's all based on money or whatever you want. It doesn't matter to Mets fans. They want to be here. I don't care why they want to be here. They want to be here. And to be here, the more players that actually want to come and put on the Met uniform, the better chances we will have of actually winning a championship.
Yeah. And it's all talk for now. I can't minimize the trip to the World Series and ending that drought and being the kings of the AL and looking like that's going to happen again. It's still going to happen. What I'll say with the Mets is like the Mets have been bums. They have been trash. Like the Yankees don't do that. They had 1 year where they went 82-80, and you would have thought that they won 60 games. But Judge got hurt. Like the Yankees consistently win. They have winning records, even in the 82-80. Finish 2 games above 500 with a winning record. The older I get, I can't minimize how consistent they are at going to the postseason. To win the World Series, you got to be in the dance. They get to the dance. It's hard to win the World Series. They've made some mistakes of their own that have stopped them. I just think when we compare Mets and Yankees, right, like the Met fan was holding over our head for the last 10 years. You haven't even been to a World Series since 2009. We were in the World Series in 2015, and I always just say, okay, you lost. Why do you always talk about that World Series you lost and not the one from 2000? So it's like, okay, in this rivalry, if making it to the World Series doesn't mean anything, how come 2015, that appearance for the Mets was talked about and used as a chip to say, oh, well, at least we've been to the World Series more recently than you. Now that chip is off the table. So, I mean, so be it. As Juan Soto gets a knock here at top of the fourth, Mets up 5-0. The city is big enough for the both of us. But, like, you don't rival us in attendance. Your ballpark doesn't have the capacity. And even so, you don't draw what the Yankees draw. The brand that Steve Cohen and David Stearns are rebranding, it is nowhere near the Yankees brand. Like, what are we talking about? What is I guess because the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry doesn't have juice to some, but it looked like it had juice to me the last 2 games. And if you look at that stadium, and this is a premium series, right? Like, they're selling tickets. What are we looking for in a rival? Like, social media? Yeah, there's a ton of social media back and forth because of Juan Soto. So I guess if we and I said that this rivalry does have some actual juice now because of Juan Soto, but I would give credit more so to Juan Soto picking and doing that and creating that, because Juan Soto, he could have stayed a Yankee. Him actually choosing the Mets have done it, but I wouldn't say that the Mets are the Yankees' biggest rival, because I mean, we beat you in the first Subway Series. If we take 2 out of 3 in July, what does it do? It doesn't really do anything. It's a regular season series, and we won't see each other until we potentially face off in the Fall Classic, and that's happened once. Like, I don't see it happening this year. Something will happen, whether it's the Yankees that come up short or the Mets come up short. As a Yankee fan, I hate the Dodgers right now. I've always hated the Red Sox. I don't hate the Mets. These are my Mets. I've been watching them these last 4 years, and they're a fun little story. Fun, lovable losers that got some money and turned the whole thing around. Great, but like, I don't fear the Mets, and I also don't look at them as a rival. Rivalries are supposed to be this like back and forth. Like the Yankees Dodgers have a rivalry, and they've had one if you even go back to the 70s. The Yankees had a little bit of a rivalry here with the Astros because of how many times they had to run into them from 2015 to 2017, 2019, 2022. The Astros kind of are out of the picture now because a lot of those guys that cheated aren't there anymore. There's a forever rivalry with the division. You might not think we care about the Orioles. We do. Like, we pack out Camden Yards. Toronto, Tampa. Tampa is our little bros for real. Like, they're playing in George M. Steinbrenner Field. Like, they are honoring Evan Longoria, and he's got to go out and throw the first pitch on George M. Steinbrenner Field because they don't have a ballpark. I don't know. I start with the division. I start with the American League. And then if we look in the National League, it's the Dodgers above the Mets right now. But sure, if the Met fan wants to say, we're your biggest rival, you got it. Wear those pajamas to bed and feel good about it and hold that. But I don't. The Yankees' biggest rival is hitting in October. That's a rival that they meet every time, and they meet their match. 888-808-1019. I'm running out of time again. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'll be right back. It's great for the Mets. Good call. Probably from the Yankees. They're gonna try and hit this guy right away. Oh, let me see something here. Check the train to New Jersey. 5:14, that's fine. Somebody just homer. Yeah, the Mets are smoking them easily. Nimmo homer, McNeil homer, McNeil's second homer of the game. They're getting right against them. As they should. As they should. That was a 3-run. Jeff McNeil. Oh, I see here. Okay. I've had a lovely day with you all. Let's bring it home. Keith McPherson on the Fan, little Sunday sauce. As you run your errands, as you do what you got to do, we take calls, we talk sports, we pass the time. So coming back in on the Met game, they're up 8-0. Jeff McNeil just had a 3-run bomb. Pete Alonso's homer, that ties him with David Wright. And now he's looking to walk down Darryl Strawberry. he's going to have that celebration sooner rather than later. I think I said on the fan, I'm like, he might be able to do that before the All-Star break. I forget what night I said it, but I know I said it jokingly. I'm like, he might get it before the All-Star break. That would be sick. He should be an All-Star. Lindor should be an All-Star. Like, I give credit where credit is due. This Mets team is good. Jeff McNeil's got 2 homers today. They're going to sweep the Rockies. It's just not the Yankees' top rival. The Yankees are not concerned with the Mets. They're not top. But I did tell y'all that they would take a different approach this year. I said that they would care when the Subway Series came around, that they put a lineup out and the right pitching out, and they would try and win those games. And they did win the series. So Sunday Night Baseball, the actual rivalry. And like, rivalries are built off of history. Rivalries are built off of what happened before them. And just off of, I don't know, go back to the great Bambino. And then, go back to Pedro Martinez and Veritek and those guys, like, Big Papi, Manny, like those battles. And then even in recent time with Alex Cora, these guys pop champagne in 2023 coming here and beating the Yankees. These guys, when they beat the Yankees, they're celebrating that clubhouse. You can't even get them to do their media. So, like, it is a thing. And, like, don't look now, but, like, this rookie from the Red Sox, Hunter Dobbins, his quote is plastered everywhere. I'm on Instagram. Every outlet is running with it, especially now that Jazz replied, like, okay, free smoke. Basically, we're at you tonight. You're talking about the Yankees. You hate the Yankees, which a lot of people hate the Yankees. A lot of people hate the Yankees. But if you're going to say that and then you got to actually pitch against the Yankees, good luck. Speaking of the Yankees and the Red Sox, our very own Dave Sims just posted about an hour ago. He takes the subway to the game. And he said he randomly entered a not too crowded car and ran into 3 Boston Red Sox pitchers. Garrett Crochet, winning pitcher from last night. Brennan Bernardino, and former Yankee from Bayshore, Greg Weissert. So, like, these guys are they're just riding the 4 train. They're just taking the train to Yankee Stadium. Nobody's going to recognize these guys. I would. And clearly Dave did. So that's coming up later on the fan. Let's take these calls so I can get up out of here. Rich is in Norwalk, Connecticut. What you got for us, Rich?
Hey, Keith, how are you, my friend?
Good.
Just a question. There's a player that's been in the majors a few years, Joe Gallo. Now, I heard it was spring training. I forget what team he was last on. Big lefty batter.
Yeah.
He's going to try and make a comeback.
With the White Sox, I think.
Was it the way? Yeah, I think you're right. Have you heard anything about his comeback as a pitcher?
I don't think it's going so well. And the White Sox are terrible. But, yeah, I heard he was trying to stick with the White Sox. And if we haven't heard from him since, I don't know, maybe he's in the minors trying to make it happen.
Yeah, well, I think he was going to be in the minors. Yeah, making a comeback as a pitcher. I remember them talking about in spring training. So I just happened to think about him, and I said, geez, I wonder what, how he's doing. But I haven't heard anything, huh?
No, New York Post covered it about a month ago. Thanks for the call, Rich. Let's see. Ex-Yankee Joey Gallo shows off video of first bullpen as he attempts to make a comeback as a pitcher. He's cooked. Brett Phillips tried to do this too, who played for the Tampa Bay Rays, tried to, switch to pitching, and there was somebody else that tried to become a pitcher. I can't remember his name. He's a big first baseman. I think he played for the Yankees. He played for a couple other teams. He's trying to pitch. I mean, Joey Gallo, New York City crushed that guy, and he was a Yankee fan, right? He wore 13. He came here and he couldn't hit. He was one of the worst ever, and he didn't even want to walk out of his apartment. Like, the Yankee fans made it rough on him, and it didn't work out. But I mean, good luck to him. I don't know, out there in Chicago trying to pitch. Anyway, let's keep the Yankee calls going, and then I'll get to you, Knicks fans. I know. Isaac out in Brooklyn on the fan. You got it.
Thanks for taking the call, Keith. 2 analytic quick points. The Yankees are into analytics. One would be, why doesn't Dominguez always bat from the left side of the plate as a lefty? Why do they keep switching him off?
Boone actually went in on it, I think, last night about how he looks natural. The right side is his natural side. He looks good, but he needs to see more major league level pitching from the right side, and they're not giving up on that. And yeah, they want him to be a switch hitter, and they believe he can be.
Okay, that's one. The second thing is it's not so true right now because Volpe did have a home run a couple of weeks ago. But is it weird? I don't know the numbers that I feel like every time Anthony Volpe hits a home run, it's always going to the opposite field. It's always getting the short porch. I remember the last time he had a regular left field the home run. It's always
he Friday, no? When he went back to back with Jazz, that ball was hit to left field.
If you look back at the numbers, we're probably a 7 or 8 this year, 5 or 6 that must be to right field. It's just interesting. I don't know. I caught my eye that most of his home runs go to the other field. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he should change something or if it's working, stick with it. I don't know. But also, like analytically, I'm sure the Yankees have numbers on that also. And the last point is, Keith, I'm a younger fan. You're, probably twice my age, but I like the music between the pitches. Like you randomly, it's a little boring in the stadium. You're sitting around, and you get like a, 50 Cent in the club, and you just start like bopping a little bit, and the pitch comes after the strikeout. It's just fun from my experience. As a younger fan, I just wanted to chime in on that and tell you that I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the call, Keith.
Yeah, I'm washed. I have a whole kid. I'm somebody's dad. I'm getting up there in age, and that's how I know it. Because I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need this. It's for the younger fans. I'm not a younger fan anymore. And I have an attention span where I can sit in the stadium. I can look at the pitch be thrown. Okay, ball or strike. I can look up to the big screen, see what kind of pitch it is, the vertical break, see how many pitches a pitcher has thrown. Like I'm watching the guy in the on deck circle. I'm looking at the guys in the infield with their position. I'm looking at the outfield. I'm just looking at things going on in the game and thinking about the game or having a conversation with whoever I'm with about such things. And then the music, I don't know. I said I'm a former DJ and still a DJ at heart. I just don't have time to get back on the 1s and 2s. But one of the things they taught you as a DJ, hey, if you tease that song, you play it, you let the audience hear that song. Let them hear the song. And it's like, it's weird for me because I'll hear that 4 or 5 seconds of a song and it's I'm like, what was the point of that? The point of that was to get your attention to focus on the game. I'm already focusing on the game. I'll sit in 8 different seats and I'm focusing on the game. And yeah, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe Volpe didn't hit it. Like, maybe it was against the Guardians. Did Volpe hit one to left field? Because now I'm going back. And that was a short porcher on Friday. Not even a short porcher, but a right field home run. I don't know. Remember when the torpedo bats were a thing? It's like, okay, well, this is for Volpe to be able to power the ball out with the torpedo bat. He does hit a lot to right field. Good. It's there for everybody to use. But yeah, the homer he had off Walker Buehler went to right field. But maybe I saw one that went out to left field in the Guardian series. I can't remember. I watch these games. I go to these games. They just roll over. Some of them I'm at. Some of them I'm watching at home. I don't care where the ball goes. I don't care if he's hitting Oppo. I'll take it. He's hitting. And people wanted to jump all over the guy and be like, oh, this guy needs to be sat down. He's had enough rest. I hope he's good tonight. I hope the elbow's not bothering him tonight because that'll be a storyline. He's back in the lineup. He's got to be able to, field the ball. He's got to be able to hit. So looking forward to it. Sunday night baseball coming up. But before we have Sunday night baseball, we will have an NBA Finals show as Game 2 of the NBA Finals is tonight on ABC. It'll rival Sunday night baseball. And yeah, I think the ratings are going to be up. I think there'll be a good amount of people watching this Yankees-Red Sox matchup, but I think the Knicks fan is going to be tuned in for sure to see if the Pacers are going to do what they did to them. Are they going to take 2 against the Thunder, a team that they weren't favored to beat? Let's go to Randy in Connecticut on the fan. What's up, Randy?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having my call.
No problem.
First time. Long time, first time. I was the Knicks, and then when you're talking to Yanks, I just wanted to say about the guy with the Red Sox rivalry, starting with the fisticuffs, and you just went over it with the Bambino. I mean, it all started back then, trading him. A long time history and all the games the Yanks have won and Sox haven't. So I just wanted to comment on that. But as far as the Knicks, firing Tibbs, let's compare them. When's the last time the Mets won? And you're the guy wanted the Smith making the championship, and you said, "Well, I think this."
I'm sorry, we're losing you, Randy. I mean, you can look at the Mets moving on from Buck Showalter to Carlos Mendoza. I mean, he didn't win anything They got to the wild card. I mean, that was a huge disappointment, but they made the right decision moving on to Carlos Mendoza, I believe, right? Are the Knicks going to go younger here? They might. And then, yeah, when you go back to the Yankees from Don Zimmer to, all the in-between with A-Rod and, even in modern day times, Devers, if Garrett Cole was pitching, Devers versus Cole is part of the rivalry. I am trying to find this Volpe homer recently that landed in left field. I can't find it. I'm like, did I imagine that? Sometimes I do have these dreams of Yankee Stadium and watching the games too, and things happen. I'm like, that didn't really happen. It felt real. That didn't really go down. I guess his last few homers have all gone to right field. In the Guardian series, no? I can't. I'm going to try and find it. I'm going to try and figure it out. 888-808-1019. Still rolling with the Knicks conversation. Just like we're not going to get away from it. Like we're going to be talking Knicks until they hire the new coach, and then there'll be a whole new batch of people calling in to say whether this was the right decision or wrong decision. But my take, and for what my money's worth, I think it was an overreaction. I think there were a lot of people that influenced the decision, but ultimately it came from Dolan. I think Dolan was set on, okay, I've seen enough. We need to do more. I've heard enough. We need to go in a different direction, and they are. And only time will tell if that's the right decision or not. Steve is in Rockland on the Fan next. Go for it, Steve.
Yeah, hi, Keith. Just before I get to my Knicks thing, I got a solution for the noise. Why don't they just, it's a simple solution. Why don't you just delay the all that noise until after roll call? Why don't you just delay it for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes? And then you could start it after the creatures get through with roll call.
No, it's loud. Yeah, there was a video of me bopping. They were playing like Kendrick Lamar on opening day. And we tried to make it a somber moment because we were honoring Brett Gardner, his son that he lost. And I'm like, yo, my bad. I'm like, I didn't even say my bad, but I just looked at somebody, like, I'm dancing in the video. I'm like, because they never were playing music that loud. It's for the modern day fan that is coming to the ballpark.
Couldn't do it.
No, they're not going to delay it. It's on. As soon as you step in there, they're playing sounds and things on the big screen. And yeah, it's part of the new day of going to Yankee Stadium and seeing the Yankees on the main stage.
Okay, now let me do Knicks. Okay, so let's face it. Instead of giving Tom Thibodeau the credit for what the Knicks have accomplished, he was blamed for the shortcomings that had nothing to do. Look, you look at the box score for the Sixers. First of all, in between 130 points and 125 points given up, they gave up 94. Okay, so they were capable. The players were capable of doing what needed to be done. Now, when you look at that Sixers game, all right, the Pacers took 33 threes. The Knicks took 32. The Knicks made 9. The Pacers made 17. That's going to be hard to overcome. You know who can't make those shots? Tom Thibodeau can't make those shots. Those were shots missed by the players. When you get to the Final Four, okay, players play, all right? And if you're going to start doing blame for when you advance, that's not exactly healthy. And here's my other point, okay? What veteran coach would come here for less than a 5-year contract for millions and millions and millions of dollars? And the things that people have been, proposing. Well, why don't we just bring in Spoelstra and Jason Kidd? Who knows? Maybe. And
maybe they'll work together. You're going to need both of them.
For return.
Thanks for the call, Steve. 888-808-1019. Yeah, I don't know how attractive of a job it is when you know you're taking that job, and if you don't win the championship, you could be fired. Like, they have to find somebody that they trust and that trust that, hey, you're going to give me some time. But the noise is going to be so loud when they eventually come up short. It's hard to win the championship. If anybody should know that, the Knicks should know that. 888-808-1019. We're going to go to break. I'm getting text messages from people and in my chat. I'm like, I knew I wasn't dreaming. I knew I didn't imagine it. This week, it was the first game against Tanner Bybee in the Guardian series. And Volpe went deep to left field. I know I saw it. Someone in the chat, Keith, you're not wrong. It was against the Guardians. We won 3-2. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's just so many games. And not for nothing, he has homered now in a couple games. So, yeah, here we go. Coming up on the NBA Finals show. So we're going to take this break. When I come back, I'll get as many calls in as I can, but I'm done at 5. That's it for the Sunday Sauce. KM to 5 p.m. returns right after this. I'm about to get up out of here for real. Oh, shit. Oh. Making a mess. All right. Oh. All right. Wrapping this thing up. Packing up so that I can just go home. Oh, I missed it. You sent a super chat? Oh. I know I can count on Hector to be throwing money in the chat. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you. What up, Keith? I love these Sunday shows. Thanks, yo. I don't mind them. Cool to be here on a Sunday and not do Friday night. I can go to the stadium or I go home, kick it. Thanks, just rocking, just talking all these different things. Time goes by quickly. LGM 8-0. Congrats. Phillies got swept by the Pirates. The Mets are rolling, huh? Much love from Dallas. What up? What up? Thanks for your excellent work bringing a real fandom to professional media. Yeah. Would Boone bench Wells when he's finally hitting well in a day? I'm going to say that on air. Boone can't win. Boone cannot win. Ascara has been catching Rodon. And, they're both left-handed catchers. Catchers don't catch every day. But it does go back to the whole, why are you cooling guys off? Jazz was hitting, you cooled them off. Now Wells hitting, you cooled him off. All right. You got it. Yeah, when Stan comes back, he's probably out. Thanks. We'll do this again all week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think Friday, but I don't know because I got to go to Bernie Williams softball game Saturday, and it's such a far drive. I don't know if I can do the late show Friday. Except, no, yeah, got it. Yeah. Yeah, they play this in the stadium loud. And I always say that's your cue to get in your seat. Sunday Night Baseball live from the Bronx, Yankee Stadium. But here on the Fan, you're going to get a little bit of an NBA Finals show. Then you'll get E-Man. Then you'll get the Yankee broadcast. Let me take my calls and get out the way. I'm all in Huntington, New York on the Fan. What's up, man?
First time caller.
Ding, ding, ding. I appreciate it.
The game last night, and I agree. I think playing music for like longer periods of time would like increase like fan engagement. I'm like one of the old school fans where I can watch for longer periods of time, but I think like for like younger fans that are like on their phones a lot, I think that could help with engagement. But like with regard to the Knicks, actually, that's what I wanted to talk more.
Yeah.
I was looking at like, you know, like just this past year and just general reflections. You know, I do agree. I think like they were very capable of beating the Pacers, you know, if they just utilized their bench more. And I think about a player like Obi Toppin. Why did they trade him like for 2 second-round picks, like for 28, 29? And I think like, you know, losing a player like that.
He's shining with them now, but he wasn't that when he was here. They had too many forwards. He was coming off the bench. Thanks for the call. I just got to roll the line along, and it made me think of something. You know, shout out to Big Mac. I was listening to his show the night that the Kevin Durant rumor, you know, hit our timelines, that the Knicks were going to potentially trade for Kevin Durant or put an offer or try to. And Big Mac, being a Knicks fan, felt some type of way. You fired Tom Thibodeau when you didn't believe in this team, when you tried to trade for Kevin Durant mid-season. So, and that's why I last Sunday I came on and said it was all a dream. Y'all were dreaming of this team being a championship team. They didn't even believe that they could win the championship. But when they didn't get it done, they fire the head coach. So, yeah, let's see who they find to replace this head coach and what type of job that guy does. But this could be an inflection point in their history. They might not get back to this point, or it might take another 25 years to get back to this point. Anyway, back to the Yankees, man. I got 3 Yankee calls I'm going to try and get in the next 4 minutes. Justin and Tom's Rivers on the Fan. Go, Justin, go.
Hey, Keith, thanks for taking my phone call. I'll be quick. I know you're in a rush. But, you know, obviously as a Yankee fan, you have to be happy going into where the Yankees are at the standings this year. I really didn't know what to expect considering they lost Soto and Cole. But, you know, really, I hope I will give, you know, Caston his flowers for this year, you know, pivoting after the Soto thing. But I hope he doesn't stand pat, Keith. You know what? There is a path for this team to get to the World Series this year. And I hope he doesn't go back on past ways and sit pat and making lateral moves. He needs to push the chips in again like he did last year for Soto and get the most out of this team while Judge is in his prime. And also, too, I think the Yankees are doing Dominguez a disservice by not playing him every night. He's the most important piece on this roster for development purposes, and not running him out there every night, I think, is affecting him on the field.
Thanks for the call, Justin. I think they look at it as like, you know, what Trent Grisham has become. Not playing Trent Grisham would be a disservice to the team. I mean, with Dominguez, he's young, he's developing. I don't know if it's hurting him. I think it's helping him. And then also, he just was hurt sliding at Dodger Stadium on Sunday with the finger. Like they're easing him back. It's been fine. Dominguez has been fine for what he's bringing to the table. They are going to push their chips in at the trade deadline. They are trying to win in this window with this team. This year so far has been better than I thought it was going to be. We were told so much about what the Yankees wouldn't be. This is good. Kevin is in Danbury, Connecticut. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, Keith, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Volpe hit a home run in the World Series to left field, the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
That?
Yeah, and I finally figured out it was back-to-back with Jazz, the first game of the Cleveland Guardians series. It's not unheard of. It isn't all of his homers go to right field short porch.
Right. Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I'm like you. I've sat every place at the stadium, and it drives me freaking crazy these days with people on their phones the whole game. And I want to pull my hair out. Are you there to watch the game or be on your phone? Do you agree with me?
No, I'm like you. I've sat in every section of Yankee Stadium, from front row of legends to 400, all the way in the back where you could look out and see the park. And I don't know. I'm an older guy, I guess. I'm washed, I guess. Thanks for the call, Kevin. That's how you know you're washed. Because I guess when my son comes to the stadium in 10 years, when he's got a phone, he might be sitting there on his phone. And it's okay. The phones are what they are. But it's like, you're at Yankee Stadium. Judge is coming up to bat. Don't you want to watch the game? But you need like, bah, bah, bah. You need like loud noises to go off to make you raise your head up from your phone to look at the field. Oh, what's happening? Well, they're about to throw another pitch. Last call goes to my guy, Mikey O from Elmwood Park. You're on the Fan.
Hey, what's happening, Keith?
Not going tonight, but I had a great Thursday and Friday night at the stadium, and always a pleasure seeing you.
Bummer. I'm in traffic, going over the bridge here. There's a ton of traffic coming from Jersey. And I was hoping to see you tonight, man.
No, I got to go home. I did back-to-back nights. I did Thursday and Friday, and so that cleared me. I'll be home for dinner and bath time and story time and bedtime tonight.
Absolutely. Hey, we talked a while ago. Well, you talked a while ago about something, and I wanted to bring it up. You remember talking about throwing back home run balls, right?
Yeah.
And, see, I do it, but I have a hidden ball with me at all times with my glove, right?
Thanks for the call, Mikey. You got to tell me the rest of that in person. It's funny because I actually just had a reporter reach out for my comment on, throwing the ball back. I threw back Colby Rasmus home run in the 2015 wild card game, and I wish I had an extra ball with me or thought to film it or take my phone out like everybody else does. But in 2015, I wasn't thinking, hey, let me film myself throwing this ball back. Anyway, coming up next, NBA Finals preview hosted by Long Island's own Danny Green from North Babylon. Danny was inducted to the Suffolk County Sports Hall of Fame along with our own Greg Giannotti and Ligori and Mets legend Keith Hernandez. So stay tuned for that. Keith McPherson, Sunday Sauce done. I'll be back tomorrow, I think, a full 5-hour KM to AM. Good night. All right, folks. That's all we got. Adios. Appreciate y'all. Do the YouTube algorithm right. Okay. The end.